We're back with another episode of Dark MAGA, where we have a lot more long-form content. We get a little bit more spicier here, where we're not going over a bunch of different news, folks. No, we settle on long-form content. Couldn't be happier that you are joining us. We're live on Rumble. We're live on X. We're live on TikTok. We're live at... Well, we're not live on TikTok. Excuse me. We're live on Kick and X, everywhere else. TikTok will just ban us again. And I'm tired, quite frankly, exhausted of being silenced over there. But it's good to see all of you joining me on YouTube. I see you. Cece, John's here. Danielle's here. Newport's here. Virginia's here. We got everybody. Dave, I believe, is over at Rumble, or Kick rather. Let me actually get the Rumble chat up right now. Thought I did. Candy's here. Karen's here. All right, good to see the crew. So we're gonna check out a Piers Morgan's podcast with Joy Reid, because there's a little bit of a toughie going on over there. And then I also have the White House press briefing. I always keep you guys 1-2 days, sometimes 2 weeks ahead of the news cycle. Did I not call it that they were going to bring up Donald Trump's hand? Did I not mention that to you guys earlier this week, that that's going to be the next headline sooner or later? He's not fit to hold office. The guy's not well. He's sick. And then they start questioning him. Oh, well, what's going on? Was this in the physical? Is he going to be okay? And the left are losing their minds. Folks, I've never seen something so disgusting in my life. You should see the comments on social media. That is one of the downsides of me being on social media and doing a podcast like this, is because I see the worst in people. And it is disgusting to watch these Democrats and progressive leftists get disappointed that this wasn't terminal. That they are still calling for the death of this man. It's these people, I'm going to say it again, they're not well. That's not a normal thing. It really isn't. So we'll be checking that out very shortly as well. We got a long show here, folks, probably a couple hours. So buckle up, hang tight. Benny Johnson made a video over Trump's hand. Yep, but it's also appearing in the White House press briefing. So, as a matter of fact, we'll do the White House press briefing first, and then we will kind of roll into Piers Morgan's podcast to get a little bit more spicy. So let's go ahead and roll this.
July 25th to July 29th. During the visit, President Trump will meet again with Prime Minister Starmer to refine the great trade deal that was brokered between the United States and the United Kingdom. And the President and the First Lady will travel to the United Kingdom for an official state visit from September 17th to September 19th later this fall. This will mark a truly unprecedented second state visit for President Trump, and he is honored and looking forward to meeting with His Majesty the King at Windsor Castle. There has been a wave of positive economic news over the past week, which I would like to highlight today. Joe Biden's inflation crisis has been defeated. Prices paid to American businesses for goods and services were flat in June, which is lower than all 50 forecasters in the Bloomberg survey predicted. And core inflation, which is the best measure of inflation, came in lower than expected again in the month of June. Since President Trump took office, core inflation has tracked at just 2.1% overall and has come in below or at economists' expectations every single month. Wages are growing at a strong pace and prices are falling for everyday Americans. We also saw prices for new and used vehicles and airfares drop last month. In addition, prices for gas, fuel oil, energy commodities, hotels, airfare, public transportation, and fresh vegetables are all down over last year. As we said all along, trust in President Trump. The American dream is back, and everyday families are already reaping the benefits of this incredible economic turnaround in just 6 months. President Trump has ended the era of economic surrender and implemented powerful tariffs to stand up for our workers and businesses and rebalance America's trading agreements. Despite all of the doom casting from the so-called experts claiming that these tariffs would be the end of the world as we know it, the opposite has occurred. Tariffs are not inflationary, as President Trump has said all along. In reality, tariffs are a source of massive revenue.
We'll see about that. I will always be honest with you. Tariffs can be a source of inflation, by the way. That one I don't necessarily agree with. It depends how it's handled. It depends if somebody can eat the cost, and it depends if they're going to produce the good or service. Yeah, mostly the good, right? If it's altered enough, they could bypass the tariff. So obviously that would not cause a portion of inflation, but it could. So that I don't agree with.
We're seeing trillions of dollars in private investment pour into our country right now because the companies around this world want to make their products right here with American labor and not have to pay any tariffs at all.
There you go.
Customs and tariff revenue has already totaled more than $113 billion since President Trump entered office, helping to lead a budget surplus in June for the first time in nearly a decade. We are truly entering a golden age as a result of these pro-growth and America First trade policies. On another matter, yesterday in the East Room, the president was proud to sign the Halt All Lethal Trafficking of Fentanyl Act into law, surrounded by angel families to help finally end the devastating fentanyl crisis that has ravaged millions of Americans. Under the Halt Fentanyl Act, anyone who possesses, imports, distributes, or manufactures any illicit fentanyl-related substances will be subject to criminal prosecution in the same manner as any other Schedule I controlled substance. This legislation will close the loopholes that criminals use to skirt around the law and make it easier for law enforcement to prosecute vicious traffickers who peddle poison in our communities. President Trump has always made tackling the drug crisis a top priority, and this important bipartisan legislation further follows through on that commitment. The complete and total success at our southern border that many in the media in this room continue to ignore is another example of the president keeping his word to families who have lost loved ones due to fentanyl, and it's another win for the American people. Customs and Border Protection just released the final operationalized stats for the month of June, and I must highlight some of these incredible numbers. There were only 6,072 Southwest apprehensions in June, 15% lower than the previous record that this president set in the month of March.
It almost seems fake. It's
the
too
Biden
good.
administration routinely saw the same number of encounters in a single day. And on many days, that number was more than 10,000 apprehensions at the Southwest border.
Tell them, Caroline!
There were also 0 illegal aliens released along the Southwest border for the second consecutive month in a row. President Trump promised to end the illegal alien invasion, and he has delivered on that promise to the American people in record time. With the border sealed, deportations are ramping up. This past weekend, our brave ICE agents were arresting violent criminal illegal aliens all across the country. ICE Atlanta arrested an illegal alien from Mexico, convicted of attempted rape of...
They beat me to it. I was going to ask you guys, do you think that was going to be under there? I mean, how many times have we seen it? Duh! They were so quick, I couldn't get my hands on the buttons fast enough. Damn you, Caroline, slow down. Trying to run a show here. No, it's a good guy. I always say it's a good guy, Maryland guy. He's here for a better life, guys. They're here for the economy. They got to send money back to their family. Oh, what do you mean? Come on. It's a good guy. It's just a alleged rape of a child. I mean, it's not a big deal according to the Democrats. They don't mind. What's the problem? Yeah, they'll riot for these people. Yeah, they'll burn down your fucking businesses and your home for this. Yeah, we're cussing. It's Dark Maggie. If you can't handle it, this isn't the show for you then, you baby.
A child in North Carolina. ICE Baltimore.
What's the odds that the next one's also going to have something to do with a child? Like, what are the odds?
Arrested an illegal alien from Guatemala who was previously convicted for sexual abuse of a minor in Maryland.
Could the next one, I mean, is third time the charm? Are we going to see another one here?
ICE Houston arrested a criminal illegal alien from Mexico whose previous conviction includes aggravated sexual assault of a child in Texas.
If there's a fourth one and it's a child again, how many times have we done these White House press briefings? All the time. And the media, right after this, she's going over all these children just had the most evils of evils against them happen. Caroline, I got a question about the price of eggs. I know it's Dark MAGA. I'm not going to lose my shit. I'm already stuttering because I'm getting pissed off. I'm getting ramped. Come here. Patriots, take a break. This is for the media. This is for the clowns in the room. Why don't any of you fucking people in there as the press ask about the children? Why? Not a single one asks, hey, are they okay? Are they being taken care of? Is there any way we can follow up and maybe investigate this out to make sure the children are okay? What the fuck is wrong with these people? Sick sons of bitches. I'm gonna comment. No rant. No, Danielle. we gotta pay for the rants. I gotta start charging for this stuff. I'm giving a service. All right, so this was the third one in a row. This might have been the fourth one. I can't remember. I'm losing track at this point. How many we got here? Okay, that was 1, 2, 3. Oh, we got more here.
ICE Salt Lake City arrested a 32-year-old illegal criminal alien from Mexico who was previously convicted for child abuse and injury.
Crazy.
ICE Baltimore arrested a criminal illegal alien from El Salvador.
Yeah, please don't feel like I'm laughing that I think this is funny. I think it's preposterous. That's how much it's so wild and out there. It's making me laugh, or else I'm gonna lose my shit.
Convicted in Maryland for possession of child pornography. And ICE San Antonio arrested a criminal illegal alien from Mexico convicted of aggravated sexual assault in Texas. The men and women of ICE are heroes. They are putting their lives on the line every day to get the worst of the worst, these types of criminals, out of our communities and out of our country. And the president continues to strongly have the backs of all ICE agents who are doing their jobs to keep all of us, including everyone in this room, safe. The facility, one second. In other news, following President Trump's bold executive actions protecting American children from irreversible chemical and...
That's such a small thing right there, but kudos to her for actually knowing what was written, which tells me either she was involved in the writing of this, or she wrote the thing herself, or has actually read through it because she knew that that wasn't the next paragraph and that she caught herself before moving forward. Actually, it's something small, but I like seeing that because that means she's in control and she actually knows what the hell is going on. I like that. You wouldn't get that from Karine Jean-Pierre. You wouldn't get that from Joey or Jen Psaki or John Kirby, Anthony Blinken, Jake Sullivan, any of those nut jobs from the prior administration. They would just keep reading because they don't have a damn clue.
Surgical mutilation, the largest provider of these barbaric practices, will now be closing its doors. The facility in Los Angeles, California, is just the latest facility downsizing or eliminating their irreversible and harmful services that feed into the lie that you can somehow change a child's sex. The Biden administration peddled dangerous policies that defied medical science in favor of radical transgender ideology. But President Trump has put an end to that to ensure America's children's innocence is protected and our children can lead healthy and productive lives. Finally, last night, Senate Republicans passed President Trump's $9 billion rescissions package. This will help restore fiscal sanity in our country by rescinding billions in wasteful foreign aid and finally ending taxpayer funding for PBS and NPR, two media organizations that have ridiculously used federal dollars to push a partisan left-wing agenda for many years. The House should pass this rescissions package immediately and send it to the president's desk for signature. On another note, I know that many in the media have been speculating about bruising on the president's hand and also swelling.
This is what we covered. I told you if you watch the podcast, I will always keep you in the loop. You'll always be ahead of the news cycle. I said the other day, we showed you the X post. We showed you the footage of the C-SPAN reporter zooming in on his hand. And I said, get ready. This is going to be next. This is what they're going to start hounding him on. Here we go.
And the president's legs. So in the effort of transparency, the president wanted me to share a note from his physician with all of you today. In recent weeks, President Trump noted mild swelling in his lower legs. In keeping with routine medical care and out of an abundance of caution, this concern was thoroughly evaluated by the White House medical unit. The president underwent a comprehensive examination, including diagnostic vascular studies. Bilateral lower extremity venous Doppler ultrasounds were performed and revealed chronic venous insufficiency, a benign and common condition, particularly in individuals over the age of 70. Importantly, there was no evidence of deep vein thrombosis or arterial disease. Laboratory testing included a complete blood count, comprehensive metabolic panel, coagulation profile, D-dimer, B-type natriuretic peptide, and cardiac biomarkers. All results were within normal limits. An echocardiogram was also performed and confirmed normal cardiac structure and function. No signs of heart failure, renal impairment, or systemic illness were identified.
I'll tell you why that's important. This is something my dad went through for a while, so I had to read up on it and know a lot about it. That was what I was listening for is first is any sort of heart failure. Heart failure will lead to water retention. When you have heart failure, that will also lead to organ failure sooner or later because you're just not getting enough blood to the organs, so they slowly start deteriorating. And it's not pumping enough to the point where you will actually start secreting water out of your veins. One of the ways to get around that is to increase the protein. The protein itself will hold the water in your veins, so you pee it out. But you kind of run into an issue when it's affecting your liver, when it's affecting your kidneys. And so you will start retaining water. And as she's talking about, he was retaining water in the legs, which is one of the main areas that it happens in, not just the belly, but the lower extremities. And so that's why you'll see people wear those compressions to kind of keep everything in. But the other issue that you can have is you can actually get cellulitis in the legs, and that will kill you if you can catch it early. But that's basically where the cells themselves almost start filling up. There's so much water retention in your legs where they start filling up, and you will actually have people weeping out the skin because there's no more area for the water to go. And so you will actually start seeing almost like sweat. It looks like sweat, but you'll have your pores open up and they will start weeping water out of your legs. It's the wildest thing. I've seen it happen to people. And so that was what I was listening out for. So it seems like everything's working, and maybe they'll get this under control. And but I mean, when you're walking around, you're older, this is something that's naturally going to happen sooner or later. So this is good news that it's not affecting his organs, at least what it seems like.
Additionally, recent photos of the president have shown minor bruising on the back of his hand. This is consistent with minor soft tissue irritation from frequent handshaking and the use of aspirin, which is taken as part of a standard cardiovascular prevention regimen. This is a well-known and benign side effect of aspirin therapy. And the president remains in excellent health, which I think all of you witness on a daily basis here. So the president wanted me to share that note with all of you. I'm happy to take further questions on it. We will provide the memorandum from the president's physician to all of you, as we always do. And we'll get to questions. Here in our new media seat, we have Frank Corva, who's the...
I just want to point out that it's a little bit... Everybody's seen bruising on elderly people's hands before. Even if Joe Biden had it, it would only raise questions to me because he's having his cognitive decline. That, okay, they're shooting him up with something because they're hiding his cognitive decline. For Donald Trump, the guy works. Everybody knows that the amount of work this guy's doing, well, truthfully, probably not very healthy. In the sense of how much work he's doing. I'd like him to slow down a little bit because he's only getting older. But for him to have track marks on his hands from maybe doing blood work or something, which is what I thought it was, it's not uncommon to see a little bit of blood pooling under the skin and bruising slightly from anything happening there. I mean, at that age, you bump your elbow on something, you know what I mean? It's just, you get a huge bruise and it looks way worse than what it truly is. And that's what happens with older people. But for some reason, we all play stupid, and not us. I'm talking about the Democrats right now. For some reason, we're playing stupid as if we never saw an elderly person with the same exact markings that Donald Trump has for them smacking their hand against something or maybe getting blood work done or going in the hospital. I don't know why we have to act stupid all the time, but these people are unhinged. They really are. They're not well. And I'm going to continue to say it. I'm not saying it's the entire Democrat Party. I'm actually calling for the Democrat Party to separate themselves from the progressive left because it's gotten way too far. It's gotten out of hand. And quite frankly, it's disgusting the fact that they are all disappointed right now that Donald Trump's illness is not an illness, I'm putting in air quotes, is not terminal. They're disappointed because that's what they want to see. They want to see Donald Trump 6 feet in the ground because they're a bunch of psychos. They're crazy people. And they haven't been told that enough in their life because throughout the education system, K through 12, college, their parents, their friends, oh, that's a normal thought. Oh, because you have to be kind, right? You have to affirm everything that they do nowadays. Oh, no, you're right, Billy. Yeah, I know. That's an okay opinion. I'm not kidding. In the school system, regardless if somebody says something asinine or not, you have to make sure that their opinion is just as valid as somebody else's. And that's why you grow up with these idiots being socialists and communists, because their teacher was required to affirm form that type of opinion rather than saying, no, I'm sorry, that has led to millions of people dying. That is a very horrible thing to think. And somebody has to tell you, if it's not going to be your family, it might as well be me, since we're in a history class. Communism's terrible. Socialism is terrible. Capitalism is not perfect, but it's the greatest system we've come up with so far. And unless you can come up with something better, why don't you sit down a little bit? Why don't you stop running your mouth, because clearly you don't know what you're talking about.
White House
Maybe that should be said a little bit more, rather than coddling these damn kids all the time, each and every direction you look.
Correspondent for Bitcoin Magazine, which comes at a timely week with crypto legislation moving across Capitol Hill. So why don't you kick us off, Frank, and thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it, Ms. Levitt.
Sure.
I was curious to hear if the president was in favor of removing any and all language around central bank digital currencies from the Genius Act, maybe as a means to get it across the line and get it on his desk. And then my second question was about something the president spoke about in this room. He talked about a $600 de minimis tax exemption for Bitcoin and other crypto spending. So I was just wondering if you could comment on those.
Sure. Well, the president did signal his support for a de minimis exemption for crypto, and the administration continues to be in support of that. We are definitely receptive to it to make crypto payments easier and more efficient for those who seek to use crypto as simple as buying a cup of coffee. Of course, right now that cannot happen, but with the de minimis exemption, perhaps it could in the future, and we will continue to explore legislative solutions to accomplish that. As for the central bank digital currency and the Genius Act, which you noted has passed through Congress and will be sent to the president's desk. I believe the House is voting on it. If they haven't, they should be passing it. We know we have the votes, and we expect it to get to the president's desk, and we are planning a signing ceremony tomorrow afternoon. All of you will get more details on that. This piece of legislation is going to make America the crypto capital of the world, and that's what the president promised. As for a central bank digital currency, the president opposes that. He made that promise to the American people on the campaign, and while it's not in this specific piece of legislation, he did sign a January executive order banning a central bank digital currency. The administration supports Congress's efforts to codify that executive order into law, and I believe there will be future pieces of legislation in regards to crypto that will be moving through Capitol Hill. The president looks forward to signing them, and he looks forward to the signing ceremony this afternoon. So thank you for being with us today.
There's a lot there, and some of you might have been like, I have no idea what the hell she just said or he was even asking. So there's this Genius Act that was passed by the House and the Senate. And basically, this is a law that tries to make rules to or for stable coins, which is basically digital dollars. Everything's going digital now, right? So it basically says that there's certain companies that can make them. And these certain companies that can make them, they must keep real money to back them up. There must be some sort of asset in place. And they also have to follow laws to stop crime. You're basically looking at like money laundering type of stuff. And make sure people can get their money back as well. So it passed the Senate. Oh, sorry. It's waiting on the House. I thought the House had passed it. I thought both did. It passed the Senate, but it's, I guess, waiting on the House right now. I could have swore there was breaking news that both passed it. But anywho.
Sure. Jackie.
Thank you, Caroline. There's been a lot of discussion about the Epstein files and the president's comments yesterday calling it a hoax. Can you clarify which part of the Epstein hoax is the hoax part?
It's a very good question. And I'm not going to be happy if she's not prepared for this question, meaning Caroline Levitt. This is a very good question by Jackie Heinrich. That's why she's one of the top 3 people in that room. She's Wonder Woman. She's our girl here on the show. There's only 3 people that, well, there's 3 or 4 that we adore. There's Jackie Heinrich, Philip Wegman of Real Clear Politics. You also have from Lindell TV. I don't see her over here. She's also a pretty good person. And then obviously Peter Ducey as well, but he's not in the room today.
The president is referring to the fact that Democrats have now seized on this as if they ever wanted transparency when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein, which is an asinine suggestion for any Democrat to make. The Democrats had control of this building, the White House, for 4 years, and they didn't do a dang thing when it came to transparency in regards to Jeffrey Epstein and his heinous crimes.
That's right.
It was this president who directed the Department of Justice and the Attorney General to do an exhaustive review of all files related to Jeffrey Epstein, which they did. The Attorney General and the FBI, led by Pam Bondi, Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, these are great patriots, some of the most trusted voices in the Republican Party movement. It's part of the reason the president appointed them to these high law enforcement positions, and they spent many months going through all of the files related to Jeffrey Epstein, and they concluded what they found in that memo, which they drafted and they released. And so the president has been transparent. He has followed through on his promises to the American people, but he doesn't like to see Democrats and the mainstream media covering this like it's the biggest story that the American people care about. The president has been working so hard this week. On Tuesday, he went to Pennsylvania, where he secured $90 billion in investments for the Commonwealth, for the people of that state. After that, he came back to the Oval Office at 8 p.m. He went in there to whip votes to get the Genius Act signed into law. And because of his efforts, that bill is now going to be signed and passed. The following day, yesterday, he meets with a foreign leader, the King of Bahrain, to secure more investments into this country. And then yesterday afternoon, the president is in the East Room of the White House mourning with parents who have lost their children because of fentanyl, signing a bipartisan piece of legislation. And not a single cable network in this country took that event live and covered that event like they should. Those are the issues the president cares about. What could be more important to the American people than helping families who have lost their children? Those are the issues this president is going to remain focused on.
I understand he wants to move on from this story, but you do have some prominent figures, including the Senate Majority Leader, the House Speaker, voicing support for the files to come out. Representative Massey collecting signatures that would force a discharge petition for a vote on the floor for this. It doesn't seem to be going away. What is stopping the administration from just redacting any sensitive information, grand jury information, and putting out what is appropriate so that the American people can decide and then let this story die?
Well, in terms of redactions or grand jury seals, those are questions for the Department of Justice. Those are also questions for the judges who have that information under a seal. And that would have to be requested, and a judge would have to approve it. That's out of the president's control. He has said, in agreement with some of the leaders on Capitol Hill, that if the Attorney General and the Department of Justice come across any other credible evidence, they should provide that to the American people. The president has said that, and he agrees with them on that.
Why did you fire Maureen Comey?
The Department of Justice did, and I would defer you to them. Dasha.
That is a very rough line of questioning, and not in a negative way, but for Caroline. And I'm sorry, she didn't meet it, you guys. It's a bunch of stuff we already know. There's nothing new. It wasn't specific. This is the problem that I continually see with this administration, and I've hounded it. I haven't just hounded it here on the show. I've also hounded it on TikTok. The communication coming from this podium needs to be way better. I hold this podium to a high standard, whoever's in this job, and Kayleigh McEnany was the one that set that standard. She needs to do a way better job of getting more information and being prepared. You can't just keep reading these headline statements. I need some information here, and this is what that podium is for. Let's not be like Karine Jean-Pierre Jen Psaki, and I'm not trying to compare her fully to them. We need some better results from this podium from Caroline. That's not acceptable, those answers that was just given. That's not acceptable.
Has the White House been directly in touch with some of the MAGA influencers that are still not satisfied with the administration's handling? And has the message to them been similar to what the president has said, which is sort of either let this go or we don't need your support?
Well, look, the president and this team are always in contact with the president's supporters, with voices of many kinds on both sides of the aisle. I think that's part of the reason this president is a great president, because he's willing to listen and hear other people's perspectives. But ultimately, he has led this country, not just over the past 6 months to historic success, but also through his first 4 years as president. And as the leader and the creator of the MAGA movement, he has led through these perilous times for our country based on instinct and in the best interest of the country. And as I always say, the American people should trust in President Trump.
And one on
John,
the Fed chair.
Go ahead, John.
Thanks a lot, Caroline. The president on Monday announced that if there's not compliance with Russia within 50 days, there would be increased tariffs. Can you explain how that works, first of all? What happens if Russia doesn't end its war with Ukraine in 50 days?
Well, in 50 days, as the president clearly laid out, if there is not a ceasefire agreement or a peace deal within that time frame, if Russia refuses to legitimately agree to a ceasefire, then they will face very steep tariffs, and they will also face secondary sanctions. So countries that are purchasing oil from Russia will be sanctioned as well, and of course that will do deep damage to Russia's economy. And I would just add that the president wants this wants this war to end with a diplomatic solution. He's been pushing for it. This administration has spent many hours and a lot of time trying to solve this war very far away, but the president wants to stop the killing and he wants to save lives.
As far
Reagan,
as the first part
go
of
ahead.
what you were saying, Caroline.
Reagan,
first
go
part,
ahead.
I have two questions for
It's
you.
just about, if I may, just about the tariffs, the first part. I get the secondary tariffs, but there was only $3 billion worth of trade between the U.S. and Russia in 2024. It's expected to be far less this particular year. On April the 2nd, both you and the Treasury Secretary said it's not necessary to apply any tariffs on Russia. You said that because of the lack of trade, it precludes, that was the word you used, any need for
This
tariffs.
guy's good.
Why now, and why do you think that that would make them cave and come to some sort of peace agreement as it relates to Ukraine?
Dude, that guy, that's why he was so stern on that follow-up. This dude was ready for it. We've seen him before. He's usually a quiet guy, but this one he's really adamant about. By the way, making a very good point, mind you. This is a good question from a reporter. Finally, somebody throws a good question in here. And how do you guys think? I don't think Caroline's ready for this. I don't think she is. I think she's gonna, let's see. I'm curious how she's gonna spin it, basically.
Great.
$3 billion is still a lot of money, John, and it's not just tariffs, it's the secondary sanctions as well that will be implemented in 50 days. Reagan.
I have two questions for
Sure.
you. First on Congress. Congresswoman Salazar introduced legislation.
I have to go back. Did you see his reaction? Because his reaction is, we're in the same page, man. I'm in the same page.
That would give for you.
Sure.
Watch.
First on Congress. Congresswoman
What the fuck was that answer? I'm holding to her stat. I like Caroline, you guys. Please understand, I like her, but that doesn't mean I can't try to push to make her a better White House press secretary. That's not a sufficient answer, and he has a good point.
Salazar introduced legislation that would give some illegal immigrants in the country a path to citizenship. 10 Republicans signed on to what she's calling the Dignity Act. I'm curious what the White House's position is on the legislation and if the president would veto this bill if it made it to its desk.
From my understanding, the White House nor the president has actually read through this legislation. We've been focused on, of course, the One Big Beautiful Bill, which passed, which is another historic accomplishment of this president in record time. The Genius Act this week, the rescissions package, that's been the focus of the White House. But the president has made it very clear he will not support amnesty for illegal aliens in any way.
I want to give you a chance to respond to the CEO of NPR.
I just want to pause because some of you weren't able to watch the Bald Brad show this morning where we covered the Dignity Act that was proposed. So the Dignity Act has a few things in it. So we only kind of focused on one, but it has border security. So what the Dignity Act would do, I'm not for this act, by the way. Some things I am that are inside of it, but I'll talk about my disqualifier here. It adds more border security walls, tech, and border agents to stop illegal crossings. We're already getting a lot from the Big Beautiful Bill, so that's kind of a nothing burger for me. Now, here's the legal status. Check this out. Undocumented people who've been in the United States for 5+ years, work, pay taxes, and have no criminal records can apply for a 7-year program called Dignity Status, hence the Dignity Act. And what they would do is they would pay $5,000 in a fine over time. They would stay employed or in school, one or the other, and they can't use the welfare program. But again, that fine is not enough for me. It's a few $100s a year. You get an extra 7 years. You've already been here for 5+. And you've already broke our immigration system as it was, meaning you broke the law. So you can't say that, well, they have no criminal record. You coming over here illegally is the criminal record that you were on. Unless you overstayed your visa, then obviously that's civil penalty. Now, they also have Dreamers and TPS in there. So what this does is it protects the Dreamers, the DACA kids, the young immigrants who were brought in as kids. And then some TPS holders, people that are from certain countries, by letting them apply for permanent legal status. So this is, I believe Barack Obama tried to do something a little similar to this, and I could be wrong on that. I'm trying to reach back in my memory. And then you also have immigration updates also in this act where it makes legal immigration system faster and better for workers the U.S. needs. I'm not for making our immigration system faster. And I'll tell you why. Is because you don't have to look any further than what's happening in Europe with their immigration system and the bleep hole that they're in. Europe is a shell of itself. Matt Walsh has talked about it. Stephen Miller has talked about it. I wrote an article on my own website about it. A lot of people are talking about how these legal immigrants are not assimilating into Western values. They're there for the Western economy is all they're there for, to make more money and then try to bring their culture and change of which the country they immigrated to make it look like the immigration or the country of which they flee from. So I'm not for this Dignity Act. It needs to be squashed quickly.
He's claiming that the cuts to their network will, quote, be a real risk to public safety of the country. Congressman Murkowski has argued that public broadcasting stations save lives. Could you respond to these concerns?
The NPR CEO said cutting NPR will be a risk to public safety. I am not sure how NPR helps the public safety of our country, but I do know that NPR, unfortunately, has become really just a propaganda voice for the left. Just a few examples for you. In 2020, NPR refused to cover the Hunter Biden laptop scandal in the run-up to the election. They said their assertions don't amount to much, writing they did not want to waste the listeners' and readers' time on stories that are just pure distractions. That does not sound like an unbiased opinion. That sounds like a partisan opinion to me. And this is a taxpayer-funded organization. In 2018, that same CEO that you're talking about called the president in the Oval Office, who nearly 80 million Americans elected, she called him racist, shared a photo of herself wearing a Biden for President campaign hat, serves on the board of a Soros-funded activist group. In 2020, PBS's White House correspondent at the time characterized President Trump's speech then at Mount Rushmore as a love letter to white resentment, promoting the myth of America. In 2017, PBS devoted an entire panel talking about what it means to be woke and white privilege. In 2023, PBS's Washington Week Roundtable covered up Joe Biden's clear mental divide. That's actually quite the clip. I would encourage all of you to look at it. These are not honest news organizations. These are partisan, left-wing outlets that are funded by the taxpayers. And this administration does not believe it's a good use of the taxpayers' time and money. Ed Lawrence.
Yeah, thanks, Carol. I want to ask you about the Federal Reserve. So does the president believe...
Ed is great, by the way. I believe he's with Fox Business. He's the bald guy in the room, pretty much the only bald guy, but asks great questions regarding the economy. So I like to highlight like who people are. Some of them I don't know. Like I should have known where this guy's from back here. He's been a long-time White House correspondent, but there's some new faces in here, people I just don't really care about. Like this is the Associated Press, the AP right here. This is CNN right here. This is from Tim Pool. I forgot his name, but he's from Tim Pool. He's Tim Pool's White House correspondent. These are more for like media influencers. This is, I think this is Margaret. She got her hair done. She used to be a redhead, but I believe this is her. That would be from the Daily Wire, people like that.
That the slightly restrictive monetary policy stance right now, could that cause an economic slowdown? And if he does believe that, when?
What pause are you referring to?
No, could the stance of the monetary policy is slightly restrictive? Does the president believe that stance, the slightly restrictive stance, could cause an economic slowdown in itself?
I haven't heard the president discuss that specifically, but what I do know in regards to the Federal Reserve is the president's been very transparent about his displeasure with both the policies and the management of the Fed, and he spoke about that to all of you pretty extensively in the Oval Office yesterday.
And last month, one more if I could. Last month, the Canadian Prime Minister said the president had agreed to a July 21st deadline to sort of work towards a trade agreement. That's 4 days from now. Could there be a trade agreement with Canada in 4 days?
Well, look, we'll see. The trade team continues to be very active in our conversations and discussions with Canada. The president himself has said, unfortunately, our neighbors to the north have been pretty difficult to deal with when it comes to matters on trade. But in trade, generally speaking, as you know, 25 countries have received letters thus far from the president directly with his big, beautiful signature on them, from Japan to Korea, South Africa, Kazakhstan, Malaysia, just a few countries, and Canada also received a letter for 35%. With that said, if countries want to have legitimate further discussions, the Trump administration and the president's trade team are willing to have further talks, but these letters these countries have been receiving are the deals. And as the president has said, those deals will be made. They are tailor-made to each and every country based on the United States' concerns and what's in the best interest of the American worker and the American people. Charlie, go ahead.
Thank you, Caroline.
No, I called on Charlie, but Deanna, you can go ahead too. Go ahead.
The president said that he floated the idea of a special prosecutor in the Epstein case. Can you confirm that? And has he asked the Attorney General to do this, to appoint a special prosecutor to look it over?
Well, the idea was floated from someone in the media to the president. The president would not recommend a special prosecutor in the Epstein case. That's how he feels. And as for his discussions with the Attorney General, I'm not sure. Deanna.
Caroline. Thank you so much. Do you know what the president's reaction was to Mike Johnson saying that he wants additional files released, the Epstein files? Was there a conversation with Mike Johnson about that following his comments?
I won't discuss the president's private conversations with the Speaker of the House, but as I answered to Jackie's question earlier, the president has said if the Attorney General and the Department of Justice and the FBI have any more credible evidence in regards to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes, they should put that forward. He has called on them to do that. Sure.
Thank you, Caroline.
With a few days.
I'll go to all of you, starting with the lady in the blue.
You got to give her credit for, really putting herself out there, man. She was like leaning over this lady right here. I mean, she's hit her in the back of the head. This guy's having a great time. So's Ed.
Go ahead.
With a few days to the August 9th deadline, how are the negotiations with Europe going? There's some sticking points. What are they? Can we expect a delay, or should we expect a deal soon?
Well, I believe the deadline is August 1st. As for the European Union, they continue to be very eager in negotiating with our country for obvious reasons on ways to lower their tariff and their non-tariff barriers that we have long said harm our workers and our companies. So the president's trade team continue to be in talks with the European Union.
Would he accept, or would he put forth a postponement of the August 1st?
He's already said he will not.
Caroline,
Owen, go ahead.
Caroline, good afternoon, Caroline. In Gaza today, Holy Family Catholic Church was struck by an Israeli shell.
Yes.
3 people were killed, 10 wounded. What is the president's reaction to that church coming under fire?
It was not a positive reaction. He called Prime Minister Netanyahu this morning to address the strikes on that church in Gaza, and I understand the Prime Minister agreed to put out a statement. It was a mistake by the Israelis to hit that Catholic church. That's what the Prime Minister relayed to the President, and you should look at the Prime Minister's statement that will be coming out. Steve, go ahead.
Back to your letter that you read at the beginning.
Sure.
The President, you said mild swelling in his legs. Is it causing him any discomfort? How are you treating it?
Nope. No discomfort from the president at all, and you probably all see that on a day-to-day basis. He's working around the clock. As for the treatments, I can defer to the president's physician, and we'll get you this letter. I think it will answer all your questions.
There are reports that a Chinese-born banker who works in Atlanta for Wells Fargo is being prevented from leaving China. Has the president, is he going to bring this up with President Xi? Are you aware of the case?
I'm not aware of the case, but I'm sure our National Security Council team is. Steve will get you some answers on that.
Thank you.
Kristen.
Thank you, Caroline. 2 questions. So the first is that President Trump said that the Attorney
This is
General
CNN.
only gave him a brief overview of what was in these Epstein files. Does he have knowledge or an understanding of what is in the files related to Epstein that have not been released?
I just want to point out we're about 20 minutes past when she brought up all those illegal immigrants doing horrific, evil things to those children. Not a single question about it. Just want to, we've been through so many people, not a single question about the children, about getting the scumbags off the streets. Nothing. Have you guys all noticed that too? Do you please understand? They don't give 2 fucks about these kids. None of these people. They'll say they do. With their words, they will. They won't ask questions about it. Yeah, they won't. Oh, how are the kids doing? What's going on? Hey, are we going to get more of these people off the streets? Hey, Caroline, how many people do you think are there in this country that are doing this stuff? Is there anything we could do as reporters to really bring light to the situation so these heinous, criminal, evil, scumbag acts stop happening to these children? Do you guys notice that?
Not to my knowledge, and that's a question for the Attorney General, as I said, and the President has told the Attorney General if they have any more credible evidence, they should release it.
Is that evidence, would she have to run that by the President before she released it?
I don't think so. He said if she has any more credible evidence, she should release it. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Go ahead, yes.
Great. Thank you, Caroline. 2 questions. One, today...
And you can go ahead, Andrew. Don't worry.
Today, tens of thousands of folks are rallying nationwide to honor the legacy of Congressman John Lewis. Meanwhile, Republicans in Texas reportedly are working to redraw congressional maps at President Trump's urging. How is President Trump reconciling his call to action for Texas Republicans with the legacy of Representative John Lewis?
I'm not quite sure how the two things are related. I think the president would agree that John Lewis served our country for many, many years. It has nothing to do with the redistricting efforts that are currently underway by Texas Republicans to add seats to their legislature. They have the right to do that. The president spoke to the congressmen and women who serve the great state of Texas about it, but it's up to them and it's up to their legislature to get that approved.
And Caroline, just a second question. And
Go
does
ahead.
the president support the Justice Department's request for just 1 day in jail for the officer convicted in Breonna Taylor's killing? And what message does he believe that sends to her family and to other families seeking justice in cases of police violence?
I haven't talked to the president about that case. Go ahead.
Just the president, when the president met the interim president of Syria a couple of months ago, he described him as a young, tough, attractive guy. After the latest clashes in Syria over the last few days, does President Trump still support Syria's interim president?
The president still supports Syria's pathway to a peaceful and prosperous country, and you received an update directly from the Secretary of State on the ongoing situation between Syria and Israel. I spoke to him myself this morning to get an update, and as soon as the United States became involved in this conflict, we were able to de-escalate, deconflict. That seems to be continuing. Syria agreed to draw back their troops that were in the area where that clash was ongoing, and we continue to be very actively monitoring the situation. The president wants to see Syria become a prosperous and stable country, and by the lifting of the sanctions on Syria, he's giving them a real chance to do that, and he wants to see that through. Andrew, go ahead.
So on Tuesday, the president told a very detailed story about his uncle, noted scientist John Trump, and Theodore Kaczynski, the late Unabomber. He said that Dr. Trump taught Ted Kaczynski. Ted Kaczynski was not identified as the Unabomber until 1996, 11 years after John Trump passed away. It would have been impossible for John Trump to have ever discussed the Unabomber with the president. So what was he talking about? And I have one follow-up.
Andrew, with so many issues going on in the world, I'm a little bit surprised you would ask such a question.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was thinking. Sometimes I go like this on camera, right? Because I'm just kind of looking like, where the fuck did that person get that question from? Or like I'm looking for an answer or like anything out there. Did anybody have the same reaction as me and Caroline here? Like what the fuck? This is the question you're going to ask?
Although I'm not sometimes coming from you, I will say, but I'm willing to give you an answer. Nevertheless, the president's uncle did, in fact, teach at MIT. He was a very intelligent professor. The president's very proud of his family. In fact, the president has a letter from his uncle on the MIT letterhead that sits in the Oval Office dining room. Maybe we'll let you see it sometime.
Caroline, one more on.
Elizabeth,
will the president consider pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell if the Epstein case is a hoax?
Okay, I'll start off with the president said last week he would not be getting involved in the New York City mayoral case. If that mayoral race, if that's still the case, given his history drawing a large crowd in New York City, what's his reason for staying out of it in that way?
Well, look, I think the president reserves the right to get involved in races or not get involved in races, and he's made the decision not to weigh in on the New York mayoral race, as you rightly pointed out, although he has gone as far to say he absolutely does not want to see Zemdani elected, who is...
Zemdani? It's Memdani. I was going to say, I'm like, but Trump has weighed in on it. What are you talking about?
A known communist who supports the abolishment of private property, the defunding of police. He has made very well-known anti-Semitic statements. It would be a disaster for New York and for this country. And I think it's quite telling that this individual, a known communist, has been spending time in Washington this week meeting with leaders on Capitol Hill. This is truly where the Democrat Party is headed. Clearly, they learned nothing from November 5th in the president's overwhelming victory. Mary, go ahead.
Thank you, Caroline.
I want to clear something up. This one right here is not Margaret from the Daily Wire. I actually don't see the Daily Wire in the room unless I'm missing her, but I just wanted to clear that up. That's not the Daily Wire. I thought it was. Her head was down, kind of looks similar.
I want to backtrack to the hospitals that have stopped providing transgender surgeries and hormones for kids. On this front.
Here she is. She's right here. She's the one asking the question right now, Margaret. Okay, so this is the Daily Wire asking the question here right now. She's right here. Normally she's right here. She got a seat today. That's good for her.
Does that have anything to do with the DOJ subpoenas last week? Should we expect any more hospitals to be shutting down their programs? And I wanted to also ask what you make of all these media reports, especially the AP, which I noticed, which portrays these children as losing something that's saving their lives.
Yes, I think the president spoke a lot about this issue, which is a political issue, but also really a cultural issue that impacts children and families. He talked about it a lot on the campaign, and I think he was quite surprised by the uptick we were seeing in the embracement by the Democrat Party when it comes to the chemical castration and mutilation of young, innocent bodies. And so the president made it a very early priority to sign very strong executive orders to cut off the funding for any hospital or any medical facility in this country that provides such barbaric procedures. And as a result of that strong policy and the president's strong common sense position on this issue, we've had such an overwhelming response, which is great for children in Arizona. Phoenix Children's Hospital has stopped providing puberty blockers and hormone therapy to minors. In California, Stanford Medicine ended sex change surgeries for minors. Children's Hospital Los Angeles is closing its Center for Trans Youth Health and Development surgical program. In Illinois, Lurie Children's Hospital of Chicago stopped sex change surgeries. Again, let's think about what we're talking about here. Sex change surgeries for minors. These are barbaric practices that no child, innocent child, should have to endure. And the president wants to protect the innocence of children, and I know the vast majority of Americans support him in that effort. This is a wildly popular and common sense endeavor this administration has taken, and we've seen
actually on both sides, believe it or not. Even the Democrats don't want this. It's specifically the progressive left, and as I mentioned, they've taken over that party, man. If you're a Democrat, I really would start thinking about going independent. Now, I'm not trying to be like, oh, well, that's just going to allow you to win. I don't know what values they carry for you guys anymore. I'm drinking water and coffee is what I'm drinking. I just have the water here in the, I use a straw just because it's just easier to drink. And then I got my coffee. I didn't finish my second cup this morning, so I just filled it up the rest with water. The Democrats, I just don't understand. I don't know what they really carry in terms of your values anymore. Like, to me, it'd make more sense to be an independent than it would be a Democrat.
Many of these medical institutions have followed through with the president's executive orders, but will continue to take further action on this important issue. Garrett.
I too, if you'll indulge me.
Sure.
On the rescissions package, I wonder what the White House makes of this theory that it increases the odds of a shutdown. The theory is basically, why would any Democrat vote for a bipartisan spending deal with Republicans if Republicans can turn around and claw the money back the next day?
Look, $9 billion worth of crap that it was in our federal funding that is now being rescinded. This is a good thing for the American people and the American taxpayer, and I think our Office of Management and Budget Director was saying this process should be more bipartisan. Democrats, there was a time in this country where Democrats too cared about getting rid of waste, fraud, and abuse in our federal spending. I think every American agrees the government spends way too much money on things that don't matter. Some of those things include PBS and NPR.
Yep.
Or, for instance, the Democracy Fund, which was funded to the tune of $83 million through the Department of State, but they were giving hundreds of thousands of dollars for gender equality and empowerment hubs in Yemen, $3.9 million for strengthening information integrity, equality, and democracy for LGBTQI population of the Western Balkans. These are not good uses of the taxpayer funds, and Republicans are proud to lead that effort, and we wish more Democrats would join us in that.
I still want to know, This would be classified kind of as pork, right? That get thrown in this stuff. And maybe it's just left up to me, and maybe we could start a research group here on the Bald Brad Show where we could source out who are all the congressmen and women that put this stuff in there. I want to know I really do. I want to know who they are. They just wasted billions and trillions of our dollars on pointless crap. Who are these people? Don't just give me, oh, well, there's some people out there in the ether that wasted your money. Who the fuck are they, so that we don't vote for them again? I don't care if it's a Republican. I don't care if it's a Democrat. I want them out. They wasted millions of our dollars. Billions. This is not good enough for me. I don't care. Oh, well, some people did it. Good. Who the fuck are they, so we don't vote for them again? That's what I want to know. Tired of this shit. I'm tired of it.
Follow up on the Maureen Comey question, just to clarify. Did the White House have any knowledge, or did the president sign off on her firing?
This was a decision that was made by the Department of Justice.
There was an agreement that was made between Immigration and Customs Enforcement and the Centers for Medicaid and Medicare Services regarding access to Medicaid information for 92 million Medicaid recipients around the country. That includes health information. So how does that not violate HIPAA violations and privacy concerns, for example, of American citizens?
I'm going to have to defer you to Immigration and Customs Enforcement on that. I'm unfamiliar with that agreement that they made.
Thanks, Caroline. Two questions. Russ Vought said today he's going to be looking into cost overruns in the Fed's renovation projects. Is there a deadline for him to come back with findings to the president?
I don't believe there's a deadline the president has set for Russ Vought, but I think, again, this is a good use of taxpayers' time to look into this project that is millions and millions of dollars over.
But I just want to point out, you guys, that static that's coming through, that's not me. I don't even know if you're hearing. I'm hearing my mic. As I told you, I need a new headset. This thing is freaking, it's falling apart, as you saw. I'm not bragging about it. I need to get a new one. But I'm not sure. Are you guys hearing that static, or is that just my headphones? But I just want to let you know that's not me. That has to be them, or it's my headphones. If it's my headphones, then you're not hearing it, okay? Unless if you're a psychic and you're picking up on my shit.
Budget. It's for a big, beautiful mansion for the federal chairman, reserve chairman, and I understand that it costs much more than it did the beautiful palace that many of you joined us at when we went overseas. So it's completely unnecessary. It's overpriced, and I think it's a good thing the administration, led by the president, is looking into it.
If there ever were to find wrongdoing or fraud, would the president reconsidering firing Jerome Powell?
Look, it's a hypothetical question. We'll see where it goes. The president spoke about how he feels on this matter yesterday.
Sure.
Thank you so much, Caroline. So we saw Ambassador Huckabee arrive to Prime Minister Netanyahu's trial to show his support. Does the president plan to impose any kind of sanctions against the Israel judicial system?
Who's that? We haven't seen her before, have we? Go into the chat. Who is that? I don't know what's going on here. You got Jackie, you got some competition, girl. You got her. That's pretty much it.
I don't have any update for you on that or any announcement on that front. I don't believe so.
Does the president believe that justice has been served?
This is our boy. Everybody buckle up. Now, we pay attention to everybody here, okay? We give everybody their spotlight, but the ones we really listen to are Jackie, Heinrich, and Phil. Now, Phil must be on some shit today because the man is suited up hardcore. Got his hair cut. He looks fresh. Didn't get messed up. He rides a motorcycle, so clearly that didn't mess him up. We're going to rewind it 5 seconds because I want to hear everything, but I want you guys to perk up a little bit because this guy's our boy. Here we go.
So,
does the president believe that justice has been served in the Epstein case?
Look, the president believes that he directed the Department of Justice to do an exhaustive and thorough review, and they did that. And they all agreed, the FBI director, the deputy FBI director, the attorney general, on the memo that they drafted and they released.
Thank you, Caroline. Just a follow-up on Reagan's question. Representative Salazar's bill, it grants illegal aliens with legal status for 7-year increments. It also gives permanent path to residency for so-called dreamers. And, President Trump and Labor Secretary Chavez, who previously co-sponsored a version of this bill when she was in the House, they've spoken about a work deal similar to the bill. I believe. What's the difference between a work deal and amnesty?
Look, as I told Reagan, the president, the White House have not reviewed this specific piece of legislation. It's just not where our focus has been. But the president, for one, has been very clear he does not support amnesty. We'll go to, oh, look at some friends in the back. Brian, go ahead. You didn't show up?
Jesus, who's back there? You can't even see the guy. I don't know if I've ever seen a question be asked from that far back. The dude's practically standing outside. Whenever I see something kind of, you guys, how many have we been through here on these White House press briefings? If you're new to the show, this is our bread and butter, by the way. This is how we got so many subscribers, is because we were the one that really started streaming these White House press briefings. Of course, now everybody does it, right? Now you got Benny Johnson doing it, Tim Pool, the Daily Wire. But if you go back, we were there wasn't many people that were doing it, and we used to get thousands of views. Whenever I see something different, I kind of like, whoa, what's going on here?
Early enough to get some good real estate up here.
I love it. Any update on the auto pen? I know that there was the DOJ and some others were looking into the thousands of documents that were signed off just before Joe Biden left office. Any update on the auto pen?
Yes. I'm not laughing at you. I'm just laughing at how far away you are, and you're going to need to get some microphones back there. And the auto pen investigation, yes. The White House counsel's office has launched their own investigation into former President Biden's usage of the auto pen. We have requested some documents from the National Archives. And again, as I've said many times from this podium, and the president has said as well, it's incredibly important that we get to the bottom of who really was at the tip of the spear in the decision-making process here in the White House, because former President Biden himself admitted to the New York Times, I understand he never gave interviews when he was here, but now all of a sudden he wants to give one, and he said that he did not actually review every single pardon that he signed on his way out the door. That's incredibly concerning, and I can tell you it's something this president would never tolerate. This is a president who is signing things all the time. Any document that has legal implications, this president's signature is on it because he's the one making the decisions. It does not appear that was the truth in the previous White House, and I know the American people want to receive answers on who was running the show, because the decisions that were made in this place really destroyed our country, and we deserve to get to the bottom of it.
Just want to give a shout out to Danielle for the $20. Thank you. Not only a member of the show, but also a big contributor too. Thank you so much for the $20 again. Headphone Fund, get new ones already. I don't. The moment it came in, I just started laughing. Because I knew I should have bit my tongue. I knew right when I said, oh, my headphones are trash, that somebody was going to throw money into it because you guys are so freaking generous. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. If Brad starts a rant fund, he can buy new headphones. Yeah. I still got to figure out how much we're going to charge for rants. I think Bet said we should charge $10. I think that's too little. But again, when you guys see me go like this or whatever, now I just fucked it up because I have it on a good spot. But now I'm gonna be getting static. Yeah, I've complained about my headphones quite a bit. I need to get new ones. You guys, but thank you so. That $20 is great. Thank you, and that will 100% go towards new headphones. I promise. I won't use that for anything else. It will go directly towards headphones. I got busted, but I'm still allowed to be on because I sent Brad a PM on X. My night. Is this normal? Did you send me something on X? Hold on a second. I got nothing from you. What are you talking about? I just looked. Huh? I got busted, but I'm still allowed to be on because I sent Brad a private message on X on my night. What are you talking about? I check my private messages all the time. No, I think the person that messaged me most recent was Karen. I got Karen's emails. I didn't respond, but I read them. I know I gotta start responding. All right. Well, let me know what you messaged me. What'd you prime message me?
Mark in the back.
Private message. What the hell's prime message? I don't know what that is.
Thanks. Some Christian groups are complaining that they are not able to get visas as quickly to travel to Israel, and it's been elevated to Ambassador Huckabee's station. Is the White House aware of that? Does it have any reaction to that? And is that part of the president's disappointment with Netanyahu's government.
Look, I'm not aware of that, Mark, but I'm sure, again, our National Security Council is, and also the State Department, as you know.
Yeah, I got your message,
visas
Pat.
Roll through Secretary Rubio's shop over there, whom we work very closely with.
I thought I
so
responded,
we will check in on
but
the
I didn't.
matter, but I know
But I
overall
read it.
this president and the
I'm glad you're doing okay,
administration
brother.
do want to streamline the visa process to make it easier for both Americans who want to travel abroad
Oh, there
and
it is. She
people
did message me.
abroad who want to come to our country the legal way. Sure. Go ahead. I was going to the gentleman above you, but go ahead, Libby, and then you can go.
Okay.
Are you down at the bar right now? Is that where she did send me a message? It went into the like spam message folder on X. It didn't go to my, which is weird. Normally it doesn't happen with people I know. I don't know her in real life. Yeah, am I allowed to show the video? I don't know if I could show this. Damn. Let me see. I can accept it, but it's gonna show everybody else's shit. Oh shit. That's loud. Okay, that's her at the bar. Yep. Okay, hold on. This is the video she sent me. It's gonna be loud, but this is a viewer's video. Let's check this out. Listening to Dark MAGA at a bar like that. How can you hear anything? Random Thursday night in the Louisiana bar down in the swamps. I love it. That is so funny. I love that. I love that. Because it always lets. I never know what she's doing in there. You guys ever see that clip from oh God, what do you call it? Wedding Crashers. No, you don't need to be sorry. I love that. That's great. I wish you guys would send me more stuff like that. Like, what are you doing? Are you at work? Like, that stuff's fun to me. Because I just picture you guys like laying in bed. What's going on, Heather? Laying in bed, you know? I don't know what you guys are doing. That's cool. Good for you. Hell yeah. Get a drink for me. Send me the video of the drink and, get a Bald Brad chant going in there. Maybe send it to us. That'd be dope. That's awesome, though. Oh, boy. Just do the rants for Dark MAGA so he can enjoy the mornings.
Two questions for you. The first is
That was cool.
during the Whole Nation Summit,
That was fun.
Secretary Noem suggested there could be some changes to TSA's liquid limits.
Mm-hmm.
Is the president aware of that? Is that an idea that he's backing? And what would that timeline and the changes look like?
She has good headphones. Yeah, that's funny, D. That is funny.
But I did see Secretary Noem's comments, and I think it's
What's going on,
great
Krager?
that on day one,
Krager's over
he
at Kick.
asked TSA, what are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? How can we make air travel more efficient while maintaining utmost security for American passengers and travelers? And I know they announced no more shoes, or you don't need to take off your shoes anymore at the airport, which I think is welcome news to all of us who travel a lot. But further guidance or decisions, of course, that's in the Secretary of Homeland Security's overview, and I would defer to her.
And the other question for you is on Gandhi and Burgum's trip today to Alcatraz. I'm curious what the funding is going to look like for that and who the president does want to see incarcerated there if it were to become.
Sure. Well, this was an idea of the president. He spoke about it in May, and he directed his administration to review a reopening plan for Alcatraz if it is possible, which is why the Attorney General and the Secretary of Interior have traveled there today. They are touring the site, and if the Alcatraz prison is reopened, it would be under the purview of the Bureau of Prisons. And the Secretary of Interior also would play a big role in this as well. So they're there to review the site today, and I'm sure you'll hear more from them on it later. And just to follow up, Libby, on who the president wants to see housed in Alcatraz, the worst of the worst criminals in this country, both American criminals who convict heinous crimes, but also illegal alien criminals before deportation as well. Sure. Go ahead.
The State Department yesterday urged the Chinese Communist Party to cease its campaign to eradicate Falun Gong, a peaceful spiritual practice. With the anniversary of this brutal persecution approaching, does the White House have a message for the CCP on this?
Well, I will get you one, and we will get back to you. Sure. Go ahead. We'll take. Go ahead, and then go ahead. Sure. I've never called on you. Why don't you go ahead? In the red tie.
Hello.
Dr. Harper behind.
Thank you.
Yes. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Me, thanks.
Yes.
Thank you, Caroline.
Yes, you. What's your
Brazil.
name?
My name is Matthias. Thank you.
What's your outlet?
I'm for Record TV, Brazil.
Great.
Brazil's President Lula recently said that President Trump was elected to govern the United States and not to act as the emperor of the world. And he also emphasized that Brazil is open to negotiation. I'd like to hear
Monica.
what you have to say about it, what the administration has to say about it, and specifically what areas are currently open to negotiation in the light of the 50% tariffs that were announced.
Sure. The president is certainly not trying to be the emperor of the world. He is a strong president for the United States of America, and he's also the leader of the free world. And we've seen a great shift across the entire globe because of the strong leadership of this president. In regards to Brazil, the president sent a letter to Brazil announcing their new tariff percentage. He also directed our USTR ambassador, Jameson Greer, to launch an investigation of Brazil under Section 301 of the Trade Act of 1974, designed to address unfair foreign practices that are affecting U.S. commerce. For years, we know Brazil's digital regulations and weak IP protections have undermined U.S. tech and innovative companies, and their tolerance of illegal deforestation and other environmental practices puts American producers, manufacturers, farmers, and ranchers who follow better environmental standards at a competitive disadvantage. So this president always acts in the best interest of the American people and the United States of America, and he will continue to do so. Thank you very much, everyone. We'll see you later. I appreciate the enthusiasm today.
Yeah. It's all, well, I mean, tomorrow's Friday. I think everybody's pretty stoked for that. Here's some breaking news for you guys really quick. I just saw this. I don't know how breaking it is, but this was announced before we get to the next thing. Looks like Stephen Colbert is done next year, May of next year, huh? Wow. So we don't, another propagandist is going to be removed off TV. That's always good news for us. You know, you're seeing late night fall, I guess. That's hilarious. There, I can hear. Yeah, sorry. I turned it down. That was my bad. I caught it. Yeah, I was like, what the hell's going on here? I'm hearing static and I don't know. That's my bad. I screwed up. Monica says, work 2 jobs, full-time and part-time as a personal assistant, in bed all day. I wish. Yeah. That's just what goes on in my mind. Like somebody chill, you know, on their bed, right? They're just next to their pillow like this. And then like they have their phone propped up and they're just watching me. It's a weird thing to think about, but I know you guys are all doing stuff. The bar was one that didn't cross my mind as, oh God, who was it? Forgive me. I don't know if it's Heather or Kathleen. Which one was it? Who works at the bar? I think was it Kathleen? I forgot who works at the bar. Is like Heather or Kathleen. Anyways, I remember doing a shout out at the bar for us that one night. I'm pretty sure it's Kathleen. I think Kathleen works in like Massachusetts bar. I'm almost positive. I'm trying to remember. We've got like thousands of people that watch the show, but I'm pretty sure it's Kathleen. Kathleen, I'm positive, works at a bar in Massachusetts, and she gives a shout out one night, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it is you. Okay, it is you. Yeah, see, girl, I remember. I got you. I know what's happening. Meaning, if I ever go to Massachusetts, I want free drinks. I want to get shit-faced at the bar. Can you imagine that? Me with my MAGA hat just fucking drooling like Joe Biden on the bar table where people throw up all the time. Just, another one, please. All righty, we're not going anywhere, folks. We're having a good time here. I have not seen this. I am ready for this one. This is going to get a little bit wild and crazy. I skipped forward a little bit because I don't want you to see the highlights. I want you to enjoy this as much as I'm probably going to enjoy this as well. Michael Knowles, I believe, appears in this, but this is Pierce Morgan with Joy Reid. Joy Reid. Basically Cisco. The thong, thong. You remember that song? Here we go.
Because Joy Reid, who hosts the Joy Reid Show on YouTube, joins me now. Joy Reid, welcome to Uncensored.
Pierce, thank you for having me.
Well, we've never met, I don't think. We've never spoken to each other. I think we've locked horns a little bit on social media in the past. I think I'm blocked by you on X. I can't remember what crime I committed, but probably Trump-related. Just first of all, what Barack Obama has said and what Chris Cuomo said there, has that given you pause for thought about what the Democrats should now do? Because it's all very well just shrieking constantly about how evil Trump is, but it clearly hasn't worked now twice. You know, the fact that the guy went away for 4 years and then came back and won again was an utter repudiation of the tactics to be him, wasn't it?
Well, first of all, I'll say I have not blocked you on X Twitter because I haven't been on X Twitter since Elon Musk acquired it. I actually left the platform, so there might be someone posing as me who's blocked you. So
I think it was prior to Elon's purchase.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, so this is an interesting conversation.
Oh, I have a feeling this is going to be good, man. You already know because he's pushing back. He's like, no, you actually blocked me before that happened. Oh, fuck. Well, anyways. Yeah.
Because there is no one who is more obsessed with racial identity politics than Donald Trump. He ran the most racial identity politics laden campaign that I've seen in my lifetime. And I've been following politics since I was 12. The point of his campaign was, if I was to sum it up, that immigrants, whom he identified as gang members from Venezuela, as people from S-hole countries, as essentially any non-white migrant or immigrant in the country, were vermin who were poisoning the blood of our country.
Well, he was talking about criminal, illegal immigrants. He was
Yep, good pushback. That's exactly who he was talking about. He's talking about MS-13 violent gang members, these people that you just saw Caroline Leavitt put on the screen that are doing heinous acts to children, but because she's a part of that party that loves doing crazy experimentation on children, she doesn't want to bring that up because context doesn't matter. But don't worry, she's a book nerd back here. Hasn't read any of those, but she's a book nerd.
Okay, well, hang on. He was talking. You can't misquote him off the top. This is my point, though. This is my point. I remember. Let me just say something, Joy. I remember when he won in 2016. I was at the New York Knicks the next day with my eldest son, and Chris Rock was there at the next table. We got talking. I said, "Why do you think Trump won?" And he said, "You know why?" He said, "If someone's murdered 8 people, stop going around saying he's murdered 9." And he didn't mean Trump had actually murdered anyone. What he meant was there's plenty to criticize Trump about. I've done it myself many times. But there's also a lot of stuff that resonates with people. And I think it's the over-exaggeration, the over-demonization of Trump is part of the problem. And your characterization of his depiction of immigrants, you said the word immigrants. Actually, what he was talking about repeatedly on his stump in his rallies was specifically illegal immigrants who come in illegally, who are criminals, who are already convicted criminals, who've come into America across the southern border in huge numbers, who are criminals. He wasn't talking about non-criminal immigrants, as you tried to put it there. So there is—
Well done, Pierce. I don't mind Pierce. I mean, sometimes I disagree with the guy, but he's right here, 100% correct.
There's a difference.
False. No, first of all, it's absolutely false. Let's talk about, for one example, the Haitian immigrants in Ohio. These are people who were in the country on a legitimate visa, who are actually improving that community by taking jobs desperately, where people desperately needed to hire and did not have any, enough American-born employees, and they were hiring these folks. They were taking badly needed jobs. They were improving the community economically. He accused them of eating people's cats and dogs. He characterized them as if they were animals. These are people who his own administration had allowed into the country on a legitimate visa.
But I agree with you.
First of all, I'll stop. Let me just—
But I agree with you.
So his all-encompassing term about immigrants being vermin and poisoning the blood of the country was all-encompassing because it included them. And in his mind, it included anyone who he said came from an S-hole country, meaning if you came from Nigeria, if you came from the Gabon, if you came from any country in Africa. He in a blanketed way depicted immigrants.
So let's just fact check this really quick. So multiple sources, including local authorities and news outlets, have debunked the claim, but their Springfield Police Department ended up reporting no evidence of pets being harmed or eaten by immigrants. Ohio governor and a Republican dismissed the claims, noting the significant Haitian community in Springfield was 12 to 20,000 people, largely law-abiding. And then organizations like PolitiFact and Snopes found no credible reports or police records substantiating pet consumption. So, yeah, that's kind of what's going on with that.
Again, with Nazi terminology, vermin.
Well, let's leave Nazis out of it. You know what? Whenever people—
let me finish
but Joy, whenever it's taken you what? It's taken you 4 minutes and you've called him a Nazi already. Come on.
And now what we're seeing are
She has
masked
Trump
federal
derangement syndrome.
agents sweeping up cooks, abuelas, people who work on farms, picking up dishwashers, any brown person. And Tom Homan said, based on one criteria being their appearance, it's overwhelmingly brown and some black people. We're not seeing.
Well, you would have overwhelmingly brown people because they make up overwhelmingly of the proportion of illegal immigrants in this country. But because she's disingenuous and an absolute idiot, that's why she's spewing all this nonsense. She's just as much as a liar as Gavin Newsom is. Not everything she's saying is a lie. Like, I think she has a good point with the cats and dogs rhetoric. I think that was a little bit silly. Donald Trump says dumb stuff all the time, and I will call him out when he says dumb stuff. But here, she's just an idiot. Oh, going after brown people. It's like, I mean, every photo that was just shown by the White House was a brown person that just did evil, heinous things to little girls and children. Because that would happen because there's proportionally more illegal immigrants that are brown people. There's white people being deported too, by the way. It's just you don't see them too often because it's only like represents 2% of the illegal immigrants that are here. It doesn't happen very often.
Them sweeping up white folks on the street. Donald Trump ran a racial identity campaign. And yeah, this is America. That is appealing to, unfortunately, a lot of Americans.
Well, actually, it would turn out to be very appealing to Latino Americans
Yep.
who voted for him in record numbers. More Latinos voted for him than voted for Kamala Harris, the non-white candidate. More Black Americans, African Americans voted for Trump this time round than first time round. So
Yep.
for
Not
this,
true.
for this,
Statistically, it was the same.
No,
the
no,
same number of black
it was
Republicans
actually
voted for him that always
more
do.
Black
No, the
Americans
same.
voted for Trump
Google
this
it.
time than
It's
last
the
time.
same. It was the same. And by the way, this is the other challenge. There is a phenomenon, and my family are immigrants. And there is a phenomenon among immigrants of slamming the door behind themselves. And by the way, more Latinas, women in the Latino community voted for Harris. But there is
I just want to call out her bullshit. We're going to do this in real time, by the way, when I hear something. So the 2024 election, just so you know, Trump garnered approximately 15 to 16% of the black vote nationwide, with specific gains among black men, 21 to 25% compared to black women, according to AP Votecast and Pew Research Center data. Just a heads up. The 2020 election, Trump received about 8% of the black vote overall. So he doubled the black vote. Like, what? He had 19% of black men. He had almost 21 to 25% of black men. What is she talking about? Not to mention, in 2016, Trump won around 6 to 8% of the black vote. So he's doubled the black vote this time around. She's a liar. That's what she does. She does nothing but lie.
Phenomenon. If you talk to people who actually are in the community and study this and spend a lot of time on it, journalists who studied it, there are a lot of Latinos who want so badly to identify with Americanness that they identify against fellow immigrants. That is not a new thing.
No, but maybe they weren't identifying. Maybe they weren't identifying. But Joy,
that's not new.
Maybe they were just
blackness. And
maybe
let
me respond
the
to that.
Latino community is not new. It's
let me respond to that.
Exists.
Maybe they were just sick and tired of people like you, and I say this respectfully, but people like you constantly calling Trump a Nazi. Maybe they thought it was ridiculous.
Maybe
to compare,
don't call people vermin and say they're poisoning the blood of our country. That's not
you have
the
repeatedly.
Don't use.
Well, if you're here as a criminal and that you raped a little child, Joy, yeah, you're vermin. You're a piece of shit. You're right. They 100% are vermin. They're animals. They're scumbags. When you rape little girls, yeah, that's what you're called. When you behead somebody and then you fillet off the skin off their head and you use a freaking saw to cut it off and use it as a soup bowl, yeah, that's vermin. That's an animal that does that. That's called MS-13, by the way. When they pluck your teeth out for those gold teeth that you have and the fillings that you have that are gold, those old school fillings, and they use them as necklaces, yeah, you're vermin and you're filth. But because you're too much of a dishonest person that has to wear a pound of makeup that could probably be scraped off your face like it's cake, yeah, it's bullshit, Joy. You're a liar.
You have repeatedly, over the last few years, called Trump a Nazi. Now, the Nazis were the most despicable, awful human beings.
Look at that smirk. What an evil ass smirk. And by the way, probably not a book up there about World War II. Probably not a clue what the Nazis were about. This is the same person that probably calls the current immigration camps concentration camps. I don't remember I don't remember concentration camps getting multiple meals a day, really nice bathroom services where you could brush your teeth, running water that's perfect. I don't remember nice bedding and washed laundry all the time. Yeah, I don't remember all that taking place. Hell, air-conditioned places, getting lawyer fees, all that stuff. Yeah, I don't remember that, Joy. I really don't. I don't remember that happening in the concentration camps ever. Maybe I should go pull out all my books about World War II that I have on my shelf right now while we're rolling this and show you what I've read up on a little bit about communism, socialism, the Nazis and everything going out. My whole desk would be filled because World War II is one of my favorite subjects.
We've seen in 1,000 years. They murdered 12 million people, 6 million Jews in the Holocaust. Trump is not a Nazi. So when you do that, you thought it. Let me finish.
You've just done what you normally do. I have said he uses Nazi terminology, and that's a fact. Right. Saying people are poisoning the blood of our country, that is Nazi talk. That is what I have said about Trump. I will stand by it, because if you're calling people vermin and saying that they're poisoning the blood of our country, you are lifting language out of the Nazi playbook. That is very different from saying that Donald Trump is perpetrating a Holocaust such as in the 1930s. Right. But what he is doing is straight fascism. That's not me saying it. Mark Milley, his former Joint Chiefs of Staff chair, said that he is a fascist to the core. His former chief of staff says he's a fascist. And the things he's doing, masked men snatching people off the street, not even showing any identification as law enforcement.
Let me ask you a question.
Men dragging women,
Let me ask you a question.
Children into vans, fascism.
You've made this point.
Up. I will stand by that any day.
Let me ask you a question about immigration. It's a very interesting topic at the moment, as you rightly observe. What of the fruit you eat to stay healthy is actually making you fat? According to heart surgeon and uncensored. So my view, for what it's worth, as somebody who is an exceptional alien, is how it's described on my visa to the United States, but I have a home in Los Angeles, and I love America. I've lived and worked there for 20 years. My view is that most Americans, I think instinctively, do not have a problem with the principle of deporting undocumented workers who commit crimes in the United States. Would you have a problem with that as a policy?
As a policy, if people get a hearing and they go through a process, sure. But that is not what's happening.
No, I'm going to come to the next bit.
Hold on, that is not what's
Joy,
happening.
I'm going to finish my point.
It's not what's happening.
I wanted to see what you were prepared to agree with me about, because I think it's healthy to the debate, right? So we both agree about that, which is good. Now, I don't think that they should have pressed the button.
Can you imagine being married to this woman? God, it'd be awful. Just the manipulation and bullshit that she would spew in front of you during an argument. God.
On deporting as many illegal immigrants who are there undocumented, but who've not committed crimes in the way that they're currently doing. That they should have sorted, first of all, people who are in the country illegally who commit crimes and deported them. Everyone would agree with it. But I agree with you. The wholesale pulling of people off the street who may have been in America for many years, got families in America who pay taxes in America. You only have to talk to farmers to understand the devastating impact this may have. So on that, I would agree with you. But I also think that, and I hope you would agree, that Donald Trump has pretty much stopped completely the number of people coming over the southern border illegally. And under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, over a 4-year period, as many as 10 million people are believed to have come over the southern border illegally. Now, you must surely think that the Trump way of securing the southern border is better for the United States than the Biden way.
First of all, if those are Donald Trump's numbers about how many people came in over the southern border, I don't buy them at all.
What numbers do you buy?
Anything Donald Trump said.
What numbers do you buy?
And let me go on.
Well, how many do you think it was?
Let's just say it was.
Well, Joy, how many do you think it was?
No, let's just say I'm going to stipulate to you. Let's just say it was 10 million people. Are you asking your viewers to believe that 10 million people were in the country raping and robbing rather than working on farms, working on construction sites?
No, I didn't say that.
We have to recall that there. So again,
see how crazy she is, man. Nobody believes that. Nobody thinks this. Nobody in their right mind, Joy, thinks all 10 million illegal immigrants are committing heinous crimes. That's see, this is the crazy thing that they do. Nobody believes that. By the way, I'm wearing a fucking MAGA hat, and I don't even believe that. Some of them are, but that's the problem. We don't know who these people are. You don't know anything about them. They could be terrorists. They could be the nicest person you ever met in their lives, would clean the dirt off your shoes. We don't know. That's the problem.
And being in the United States without documents is a civil offense. It is not a...
That's not true. That's a lie. That is a lie. If you overstay your visa, that's a civil offense. Not if you come here illegally.
Felony. And so the reality is, if it was 10 million people, we have to ask ourselves, what is the pull? America has always run, from the time that people who looked like me were enslaved, on cheap labor, on free labor to start itself as an empire, and then on a constant pull of cheaper and cheaper labor. That is a pull that is pulling people over. And then, of course, there's the push of the destabilization in Central and South American countries. That is the push. That push-pull is a fact of life. And it was a fact of life when Donald Trump was president the first time.
But what's that got to do with how many come over the southern border illegally?
The difference is now, if you let's say where you end all undocumented migration to the United States, all that would do is put a burden on the pull part of it, because you have industries that desperately rely on farm labor, on construction labor,
but why shouldn't you have a system? But Joy, why
raising it to zero does nothing to change my life.
Joy, why shouldn't people?
But what it's done is
why shouldn't people? Let me just ask you, why shouldn't people do what I had to?
Do you know the conversation's always surrounding the people that, oh, well, the good person? Why is it never surrounding the people that have committed the rapes and the murders and the terrorists and the people that don't want to assimilate here? Do you notice the conversation is never around that? It's always around the guy that's out there at the barbecue that has 4 kids that were all sent to private school, and doing great works for this country, and raised 3 boys that ended up joining the Marines. And it's always about those people, but it's never about the ones that are committed. You notice that it's always geared towards the guy that's out there in the fields really doing the backbreaking work that the American people don't want to do. The guy wears the American flag as his underwear. All his men and boys that he's raised are all military, and they served in Afghanistan and Iraq, and the guy does volunteer work at his local church. Do you notice it's always about those people? But it's never about all the images that we just showed you before this. That's during every White House press briefing of the guy that raped a kid, or the guy that murdered somebody, beat the shit out of somebody's family, and then aggravated assault, and then turned into arson, and then raped the family. Like all this stuff, right? You never want to talk about those people, Joy.
To do.
Maybe if you spent more time looking at those things than you did trying to paint your face, you'd have an idea of what the hell's going on around here.
To live and work.
And yeah, I'm going to be an asshole because she's being an asshole by lying to our faces in some regard. Oh, Donald Trump didn't get more black people voting for him. Isn't she part of the black community and she doesn't know that?
America. I mean, just go through a proper process and get accepted to be allowed to come into the United States. That is how a normal, well-controlled border works. So what you seem to be suggesting is
she doesn't care.
Because America's economy needs a lot of workers, we should simply have a system where anyone can come in. And if that's not your belief, then how would you regulate the southern border?
She doesn't know.
I'm going to say to you that
she doesn't have a clue.
If policy were applied the same across the board, that would be one thing. It's not. Marco Rubio's grandfather didn't do it the right way. He overstayed an order of deportation, stayed anyway, and was allowed to remain in the country. Elon Musk's brother says, and Elon Musk disputes it, but Elon Musk's brother said they overstayed their student visa, started a business which would have been illegal for someone on a student visa, were allowed to stay. They are white migrants, and somehow that was okay.
Gotta bring in race, huh? You see this?
A selective enforcement of this outrage. If the person is brown, they need to be rounded up and put into quote-unquote alligator Alcatraz, a concentration camp in Florida.
There it is.
If the person is...
I knew it was coming. I prefaced it. What a wild thing that discredits everything you say, lady. You're psycho if you think that's a concentration camp. You are so fucking out of your mind. It is head spinning. It's stuff like that that's just like, you are so... The Trump derangement syndrome is so far deep inside her. This is not a genuine person. This is a person that's really lost herself. It's kind of sad to see. It really is sad to see that she is so far off in the ether that her eyes just are glossed over, doesn't know what's going on. What a wild statement.
white, we let them start a business and become Elon Musk. What's happening is that Stephen Miller has said he wants 3,000 people a day rounded up. And he has said he doesn't care where they have to get them. He wants ICE going into Home Depot. He wants them going on construction sites, going onto farms, and dragging brown people and into detention.
It has nothing to do with brown people. Just anybody that's here illegally. Sure. Yeah. How else are you going to get them? I mean, what are you going to wait for them to go home? You got to get them where you can get them. I don't know who you are. I mean, that pot farm had children that are being allegedly molested, Joy. But you don't see how she does that? So brown people. Yeah, the brown people at a pot farm that were allegedly molesting these kids. Allegedly, yeah. Yeah, we can't bring that up in a conversation though, because that would be a little bit weird, wouldn't it? You know what I mean? Just rounding people up at farms that are just doing heinous shit to kids. Yeah, child labor. We can't talk about that. That's crazy. Stop it. Stop it, Joy. Of course we can't bring that up. Are you silly? What?
They're putting people in private prisons that are unregulated by the federal government. We've heard stories of people eating rotten food, having to use
you still haven't told me what you would do
for the restroom. And so the reality is what we have right now is we have a system of literal terrorism against brown migrants simply because Stephen Miller does not want them in the country.
As you know, they're not all brown, as you know.
Well, the vast majority are.
Well, but you haven't answered my question also. If you were running the southern border, if you were in charge, if you were the border czar, what would you do? Would you let them all in, or would you stop some of them coming in?
The first thing that I would do is to look at some of the actual legislation that's been put on the table before. You have a very small number of immigration judges who deal with people who are presenting themselves for asylum, which, by the way, is perfectly legal. It is legal to present yourself for asylum, but there are scarcely any judges doing that work. Multiple times, bipartisan, members of Congress, the House and Senate, have tried to pass legislation that would increase the number of those judges. If you actually had enough people to adjudicate asylum cases at the border, it would make that easier. I've actually been to the southern border and looked at the process and looked at the previous version of detention that Donald Trump did in his first term. First of all, it was horrific, and it was abusive even then to children.
And were you as outraged by Barack Obama's deportation program?
Thank you. Waiting for it?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, sure.
And I think that Barack Obama made some compromises that I do not think were morally sound in order to try to lure Republicans into doing the immigration reform.
Do you know how many people he deported?
Since Marco Rubio joined the Gang of Eight.
Do you know how many people Barack Obama deported in 8 years?
I'm sure you're going to tell me.
Well, why don't you guess?
I don't know and don't care.
Well,
you
hang
tell
on,
me.
hang on. You don't know and you
doesn't
don't
care.
You've just given me...
Because it's not the...
You get riled up. Here we go.
Just give it.
You're trying to make the issue the southern border.
Joy. You've just given me Joy. Joy.
The point is,
Joy.
Barack Obama was not dragging women and
let me finish.
nursing babies apart and taking.
Joy. You've just given me.
I'm sure going to tell me it's your main issue.
You've just given me
but it's not my main issue. My main issue is that what we're seeing.
I'm trying to finish my sentence. You've just given me a lengthy monologue attacking Donald Trump's aggressive deportation policy. And I've simply said to you, there was a Democrat, a black Democrat president of the United States for 8 years. I'm simply asking, given that you're obviously all over every detail of the Trump deportation policy, and given you were on the airwaves in America on a daily basis through Obama's tenure, how many people did he deport in 8 years?
I do not know. You'll tell me, I'm sure.
Have a guess.
But it's probably more than 1 million people. I'm quite certain.
Have a
because
guess.
I think each 2 million.
Right, it was 3 million.
Okay. And your point being what?
My point being, are you as shocked by that as you are claiming to be by Trump?
She doesn't care though, Pierce. It doesn't matter. He's black. He can get away with anything he wants. He can't be racist. He wasn't doing concentration camps, was he? You know what I mean? Those facilities that he had people under were far worse than what Trump is doing. Far worse. They didn't even have air conditioning. Not to mention that Joe Biden, during the height of COVID, was stuffing these people into pods that were twice the limit that CDC was going to allow. I mean, we don't need to rehash all that stuff again. But see, it only matters when Trump's doing something because Trump's the bad guy. But she doesn't care. She doesn't care when Barack Obama rips children apart from their families, right? She doesn't care when Barack Obama was targeting brown people and deporting them. It doesn't matter. Yeah, you heard it from the horse's mouth. I didn't say it. Not me. That was her. Crazy.
On your tax.
It is not deportations
Many of them were
themselves that are
brown.
shocking. Wait a minute. I'm going to answer
In
your
fact,
question.
the majority
Hold on.
were brown.
Uh-huh.
One moment. It is not deportation in and of itself that is what is shocking to me.
Oh, now it's
there
not.
are two
Okay.
things that are
Goalpost
shocking. Number
moving.
one, well, I'll do three.
Oh,
One,
here we go.
it is not deportation to render someone to a third-party country they have no connection to.
Okay.
I agree.
Rendering people
I agree.
to El Salvador
I agree.
is shocking.
And that's why
that
he's
was
coming
not
back.
done by Biden.
That's why that
It
guy's
was
come
not done
back.
by George W. Bush. All right. So that is
Well, he went to El Salvador, which was his home. That was where he lived. We sent him home.
shocking.
Yeah.
Number two,
That's why he came
deporting
back.
people with deporting. Well, that's only one person. They
Okay.
deported more
But
than
the case you're
200
talking about,
people
he's come back.
to that gulag. Yes, but they deported more than 200 people.
You know, she's talking about like MS-13 violent gang members, right? That I just told you, like rape children, cut off your head, we'll send it to your family. They'll cut off your fingers and send those to your families in like envelopes. You got to read books on MS-13. It's a wild gang, man. It is wild. And she's having problems with these people being deported. This is the wildest thing you'll see in quite some time. And I think we're going to continue to see this trend from people like Joy, who are just, they're gone. They're mentally like Joe Biden, so far gone that they will advocate for MS-13 violent gang members that have a high chance of doing something heinous in your communities. And they'll advocate for it. You're watching it happen. This ain't my shit. This ain't my words. I'm watching her advocate for violent gang members being deported. It's the wildest thing. She won't house any of these people.
70% of whom CBS has determined had no criminal record
But why
whatsoever.
are you changing the subject
that's
from
number
Obama's
one.
deportation
no,
policy?
I'm telling you, the three things that are shocking are not.
Yeah, you know what? There's a lot of terrorists that don't have any criminal record either because they haven't blown themselves up yet, Joy, you fucking idiot. Well, the guy's not a terrorist yet because he hasn't done zip the best and kaboomed himself yet. Oh, well, he's part of this terrorist organization. You know what I mean? Yeah, we got footage of this guy putting the vest on, making sure it looks really good on him, fits the body, it's slim, so when he comes over and blows himself up, well, at that point, then we figured it out. Oh, gotcha, Joy. Okay, no. Well, most of them haven't committed a crime yet. Well, then why are you part of an MS-13 gang, Joy? Like, what involvement, what good is that going to be for the community? Are they cleaning up the streets or are they tagging it up, Joy? Because I've talked to a lot of gang members in my life because of my sisters. And I got to say, I've even asked them, what's the purpose of you caring so much about a piece of cement? Why would you die for a piece of cement? Let me tell you, the homie had a tough time answering the question. That was in high school, that specific conversation. They don't know. They don't know. But they'll like, orale, homie, SSPG, fool. MS-13, violent gang member, homie. It's like, all right, okay.
Deportations themselves. It's deporting people, number one, to third-party countries like the Sudan, where they have no ties whatsoever, simply for the cruelty of doing it, essentially paying third-party countries.
I asked you about your response to a...
The MS-13 on the back wasn't enough, huh, Joy? Or like tattooed the 1 and the 3 on their face, that wasn't enough for you? Or like the teardrops to show that they actually deleted somebody, that wasn't enough? You gotta love it, right? They have no criminal record because somebody said so. Oh, okay.
Obama
deported more people than any president in American history.
If someone receives, Piers, my family are immigrants. If there's the deportation process, at the end of that adjudication, you are deemed to be deportable and need to be deported.
But you're missing my point, Joy. Boy, I'm trying to politely ask you, do you condemn...
Is different from what we're seeing now.
But here's my point. In the interest of fairness, do you condemn Barack Obama's deportation policy, given that he deported more people, let me finish, more people than any American president in history in his 8 years?
What an absolutely disingenuous argument.
Yeah.
Because what people are yes. No, I'm gonna explain if you'll allow me.
You didn't even know how many he deported.
Because I just said that, first of all, I think it was a moral compromise that I disagree with vehemently that Barack Obama made to try to lure Republicans who were never going to really come to the table for immigration reform. I disagree with what he did. But if there's a process for deportation, that's one thing.
Okay.
If you are rendering people with no process, if you are rendering comparing them to third parties, and if you are kidnapping them off the streets, as if this is 1930s Germany or South Africa in the 1980s, that is what I find objective.
Well, what are you supposed to do, Joy? Are you supposed to wait for them to show up? You know what I mean? Are you supposed to wait for them to actually show up? They're not turning themselves in, so what do you got to go do? You got to go find them. I mean, it's not like they're lining up here ready to self-deport, are they? Some of them are.
And I find fundamentally fascist and will
Do you notice the onus is always on ICE, though? It's our fault. It's not. At no point is anybody to blame here on the other side of the aisle. No, It's like, why are they not showing up if they're illegal then, Joy? If there's a process in place, isn't the process that if you're here illegally that you should be trying to get your citizenship and report yourself so the local authorities know who you are? I would hope that community members would want that as well, because hell, for all you know, this guy's a serial killer from another country. You don't know. I mean, some of these people fled the country of which they left because they're being tried or are supposed to be tried for murder in their country. We've talked about that. How many times have we seen that happen? But no, it's the guy. Again, it's the guy that volunteers at church. You know what I mean? He tithes 15%. He doesn't even do the 10% that the Bible wants. He does the 15%. He's such a good guy. Such a good guy.
Stand by that every day. What Donald Trump is doing is a moral horror. And if you can't,
but the people that came here illegally, that's not a moral horror, is it, you guys? I know I keep pausing, but that's not a moral. That's fine. Yeah, we can't talk about the other people. Of course not. Of course, that's silly.
See that? I don't know what to tell you.
I hear you. All I tell you is that Obama deported a hell of a lot more people
but that
than
isn't
Trump,
the issue. The issue
and most
is,
of them were
was there a
brown.
process
And last time
for
I checked, Barack
deportation?
Obama isn't white. So it's
there you go. That's what I said.
The
there you go.
Now you're the one obsessed with race. You want to make this a racial argument. The argument is that the Obama administration.
She made it a racial argument. She literally said that brown people were being rounded up more disproportionate than white people and other people. She's the one that brought it up first way over here in the clip.
Made it a racial
the Biden
argument.
Administration. Because Donald Trump
You said Trump
black
is
people,
deporting people based on their skin color.
Well, it is what he does. He plays
so
racial
did
politics
Obama.
as a matter of course.
Obama did it too, only worse.
It's what his politics were all about.
Okay.
His politics are about removing as many non-white people clearly from the country as they can, 3,000 a day.
And that's what Obama's policy was too.
Exactly, Pierce. Exactly.
No, it was not. And
yes, it was.
As we sit here, rendering of people, there was a process for deportation.
As we sit here,
and you know that it's materially different.
As we sit here, Obama deported more people pro rata per year than Trump has
How
ever
many
done.
did he render to a third party? How many did he render to a third party? Because what he's also doing
you're
is
outraged
using
by
the
Trump,
cruelty
but you're
of
not
the
outraged by Obama.
I'm absolutely outraged by fascism and by snatching
But
people
Obama
off the
wasn't a
streets.
fascist
No
because
process.
he's
and
not.
She's getting her ass kicked right now.
Because Obama's got brown skin, he's not a fascist.
Yep,
Is that your
correct.
policy?
Well, that's your simplistic, racialized way of looking
Actually,
at it.
it's
because that
yours
is what
about
you're
Trump.
doing on this show.
Racialized.
It's yours
Of
about
course
Trump.
it is. No,
But
mine is
let's
about
move on.
fascism.
I want to move on.
Donald Trump is acting like he's
a fascist.
black person that behaves the way he does.
He's a
Trying to
fascist.
take people's citizenship away, denaturalizing. That's Idi Amin behavior. There's a black.
People have been denaturalized. By the way, there's laws in the book to denaturalize communists, by the way. Like what it's been, I love how like all of a sudden they're like their eyes are woken to this, like Woodrow Wilson didn't do this or other presidents in the past. A lot of people have been denaturalized in the past. You can actually right now denaturalize a communist in the United States of America right now. You can actually do that legally. Give me a break, Joy. Oh, nobody's done it before.
Fascist that you can compare it to.
Okay, let's move on to. I want to just play a clip of when you lost your job at MSNBC. That's what
my show had value. And
that Piers.
I'm sorry. That what I was doing had value. And in the end, I'm sorry, I try not to cry on TV. And whether it's talking about any of these issues, and yes, whether it's talking about Gaza and the fact that we as the American people have a right to object.
Some of you are curious what I was talking about. Just so you know, there is a provision in the U.S. law that can lead to the revocation of a naturalized citizen for individuals affiliated with the Communist Party, just to let you know, or like a totalitarian organization. So you'll get this from the Immigration and Nationality Act, the INA, if you want to look it up. It's a code USC 1451C. Again, that's the Immigration and Nationality Act, specifically code USC 1451C. A naturalized U.S. citizen can have their citizenship revoked if they become a member or affiliated with the Communist Party, another totalitarian party, or a terrorist organization within 5 years of naturalization. So it's possible.
To little babies being bombed. And I am not sorry that I stood up for those things, because those things are of God. And you know, I'm a church girl too, and those are the things that I was taught were of God. And so I'm not sorry. I'm just proud of my show.
Now, look, you're perfectly entitled to be proud of your show. Many people enjoyed your show for many years.
No, they didn't. That's why it's gone.
A lot of people at NBC were briefing that the reason was declining ratings post the election, a 47% decrease in your election, in ratings from pre-election. But you told Mark Lamont Hill on his show this.
After I said on my show that the reason Americans could relate to Ukrainians in a way that they didn't relate to Palestinians, that Ukrainians are white. And so watching white people get their schools bombed was, you know, hit different.
Oh, boy.
That hit our ratings. I mean, we could see
it's Reverend Al Sharpton over here.
Viewers from that moment that I said that. So they were like, we don't like the name calling. And also I'm a Black woman. So, I mean, I'm sure it makes him angrier, you know, when I say things. Maybe because I am a Global South person myself, you know, I mean, as a Black person, we have a different empathy toward other Global South people.
It's tiring hearing this race
and so
stuff.
We're going to come at that story from a different angle and in a different way and with different kinds of empathies. And I think that's not always received very well in the news business.
No, Joy, I mean, look.
It's not received well, Joy, because you're playing the race card all the time. And, oh, somebody's this because they're white, or some nameless, faceless, shadowy figure is oppressing this individual because they're a minority and because they're not white, as if white people never been oppressed in any way, shape, or form in this country. It's exhausting. We don't care that you're Black. I don't care if somebody's Asian. I don't care if somebody's white. Nobody gives a flying fuck here, Joy. You're a person. You're a woman. I don't care that you're Black. Stop it. This is your whole identity. This is your whole shtick, just like it is with Al Sharpton. Has nothing better to go on. But they're going to preach about Martin Luther King, but not hold up any of Martin Luther King's values of what he spoke about.
Let's be honest. I don't think you were fired after all those years because of your skin color or because you're a Black woman. I think you were fired because your show just got increasingly unpopular. It happens all the time in
Sucked.
TV. That's why you got let go. Why play the race card?
That's all she has.
First of all, I love the fact that your play the race card is your version of the race card. You literally are so fixated on trying to racialize conversations with me, Piers. I find it actually quite charming.
You racialize more conversations in your tenure at MSNBC than any host in history.
All right, Mark. All right, Piers. And the bottom line is you take an entire conversation that I had with Mark Lamont Hill and pick the bits that you can racialize because this is your shtick. And I get that this is your shtick.
You racialize everything, Joy. Come on.
I get it. I understand this is your shtick, Piers. And listen, game recognized game. I get.
How many times have we called this out? Whatever they do, they try to toss it back on the other person. It happens all the time. It's actually a remarkable thing. And the gaslighting is pretty unbelievable. I mean, Piers is right to be laughing here. It's so laughable. Clown show here that if you really adjust the makeup just slightly, she could actually be a clown and she'd be performing for all of us because it's insane what she's saying.
It's not my stick.
And the bottom line,
it was your
stick.
It is
your stick, and everyone knows that it is. Piers, we understand what it is. And it is so interesting to me that you yourself, as a white European,
here we go,
find that when
your thing's the race card, Piers, and then the first thing she does in her argument, you're a white European.
People of color talk about race, that you believe is racializing conversations. But when people like you fixate on, well, Barack Obama was a Black president, why don't you object to that? That is racializing a conversation about the former president of the United States. But you can't put your, and I'm sure you find that charming and funny.
I find it hilarious.
Yes. You're the one. You're the one who said Donald Trump.
You and your friend Donald Trump.
You said Donald Trump is a white fascist.
Are so. He is a well. I agree
And
with
yet
Mark
when Obama
Milley,
did the
who
same
was,
thing,
last time I checked, is
I'm not allowed
black.
to
My
mention
face
I
hurts.
agree with his former chief of staff, who last I checked was not black and said he's fascist. And Mark Milley said he's fascist to the core. So I happen to agree. And I know this is.
You mean Mark Milley, the same guy that wanted to leave billions of dollars equipment to an enemy that we fought for 20 years, Joy? You mean that guy? I'm supposed to listen to that fucking guy? Really? The guy that wanted to indoctrinate our troops with LGBTQ shit? Really? Divide the core? Really? Come on, Joy, get the fuck out of here.
What it's important to you with two very white gentlemen about Donald Trump's fascist
there it is
tendencies.
again.
If that makes you sad and uncomfortable, I can't help you.
No,
Piers.
it doesn't
There's
make me
nothing
sad
I
and
can do about
uncomfortable.
it.
I think it makes you a little bit of a hypocrite, but
Yeah,
that's different.
Definitely.
President Trump reacted to your departure by saying, low-life chairman of Comcast, Brian Roberts, the owner of ratings-challenged NBC and MSNBC, has finally gotten the nerve up to fire one of the least talented people in television, the mentally obnoxious racist Joy Reid, based on her ratings, which were virtually non-existent, should have been canned long ago, along with everyone else who works there. What's your response to that?
100% correct. Trump, I mean, it's called Truth Social for a reason. The guy's spitting the truth there. Damn. Just smacked her upside her head.
Fascinating to me that you think it's important that I care what Donald Trump says about me. It's a badge of honor. If he dislikes me, then I think I'm doing something right. I have zero respect for Donald Trump, and therefore, if he feels the same way about me, then the feelings are quite mutual, and I'm very, very proud of that and happy with it.
Okay, I want to play a clip. This is you talking about, you're attacking parents. You spoke out about their concerns about gay and paedophilia pornography books being placed in school libraries.
Oh, I can't wait for this.
The question I'm asking.
The fuck is that?
Is what is the expertise that you have and other Moms for Liberty advocates have to decide that a book, an award-winning book like All Boys Aren't Blue, isn't appropriate for students to read? What is your expertise?
What a tragic story of a young man who's anally raped by his adult family member. So you have incest, rape, pedophilia. Joy, you said you'd let me answer, so I'm going to answer
Please
for you. In what context is a strap-on dildo acceptable for public school? I mean, that's my question to you. Tell me what the context around the strap-on dildo or the rape of a minor child by a teacher.
Hold on a second.
No, we're talking about public school.
One moment.
All right.
Now, there's also a second clip. This is you talking about Republicans exploiting concerns.
Dude, Pierce is going hard here.
As transgender. And you said this was an old age tradition which Nazi Germany did. Let's take a look.
Here we go.
In fact, there are more kids who have been exposed to gun violence, estimated at 3 million, than there are transgender Americans of all ages in total. Targeting trans people isn't new. It is an age-old tradition, which Nazi Germany did with brutally violent ends in the 1930s.
Now, the confusing part of all this, Joy, is what you really think about the LGBTQ plus, whatever it now is, community. Right, because as you know, when you started commentating about this, appearing to be a big ally, a lot of stuff emerged which came from posts that you had purportedly put up in a blog between 2007 and 2009, one of which said, most straight people cringe at the sight of two men kissing. Another said, I don't want to watch the two male characters in Brokeback Mountain. You were talking about having sex. Does that make me homophobic? Probably. You referred to the then Florida governor as Miss Charlie and featured the tag gay politicians. Now, you said at the time when all this emerged, I genuinely don't believe I wrote those hateful things because they're completely alien to me. I hired cybersecurity experts to see if somebody manipulated my words or my former blog. And the reality is they've not been able to prove it. Now you're not at MSNBC. Now you're on your own, doing your own thing, and you don't have to worry about repercussions and stuff. Are you prepared to finally come clean and just admit that was your blog and you did say those things?
You know, Pierce, I might have known that you would use this opportunity and interview and that this was your purpose, right? This is your purpose. And that's fine. This is your show and you can do whatever you like. You know, I could sit here and go on and fight with you about your strange, weird obsession with Meghan Markle, but I won't do that because that would be rude. But what I will say
if you want to.
We can do that as well.
Sure.
But the point being that I was very open with my employer at the time about what happened with that old site, which I stopped writing in, before I even came back into the NBC family. And what I have not really talked about publicly, but what I can tell you is that I had a very legitimate reason for being concerned about it, because I was also on the radio at that time. And the things that I was literally talking about on the radio were quite the opposite of the things that were in that site. That is the reason that we began investigating what was going on with that site. And there was also someone who I do not know, who I still do not know, who had login access to my site for years that we did not even discover because I hadn't looked at the site for years. I don't know who that is. I don't know why they had access to the site. But had I not been open about that, I would have been definitely fired, or there would have been some repercussions. I was open with my company about that. I've been very open. Everyone who knows me knows about it. And so if you want to argue with me about an old blog site, that's fine. And I'll take responsibility. I just asked you if you did write it. And hold on. And I'm willing to take responsibility for anything that was on that site.
Did you say them?
For you,
did you say those things?
Wait. Listen, what I'm going to say is very...
Whoa, dude, not to my knowledge. You hear what she was about? That Freudian slip, not to my knowledge. Oh, man. What do you guys think? I see Krager saying BS. Yeah, I think so too, man. I think so too. Somebody got a hold of the password and started uploading blogs. What the fuck? Yo, fucking stuff. Yo, that would be like me stopping the Bald Brad show and then stopping payments to a website, but somehow my website keeps up, right? Because we have a blog on my website, baldbrad.com. And then some dude allegedly finding a password or whatever, and then start uploading on my blog, and me going, oh, fuck. Years later, I never knew about that. Who's paying for the website then, Joy, if you never knew about it? You kind of forgot about it. Like, come on. Like, give me a break. Oh, God, that was great.
You said him.
What I'm going to say is very simply
you said him.
Tears.
You know you did.
The point that you're attempting to make
You just spun me an absolute load of old flannel.
The reason that you are trying to go here is that you're trying to defend the idea that Moms for Liberty and these other organizations can take books that are not pornography, that are not pornographic.
No, I'm just trying to see whether you like to hold people to account, and I'm just trying to ask you
held myself to account
questions
for that,
about
and I
you being held to
apologized
account
for everything that was in that site, and I took responsibility
for
everything
massacre.
that was in that site, and I still take responsibility for everything that was in that site. I find anything that harms the LGBTQ community that was in that site repugnant. I apologize for it. I take full responsibility for it. But the point that I made in my conversation with the woman from Moms for Liberty is that they are making themselves the expert on books, which they are deeming pornographic, by using a site called booklooks.com, looking for words in the book that make them uncomfortable, and then attempting to ban books by the hundreds.
And out of interest, but just to be clear,
And so I asked her, do you think
books, all right, do you think school children at school should have access to books in their library which involve strap-on dildos?
Again, you're taking a book that has multiple subjects, and you're taking this award-winning book and dumbing it down to
I just asked you a simple question.
You may feel uncomfortable. And the bottom line is, these books that were published by publishers who had an opportunity to say no, looked at these books. These are award-winning books, and I think
we still have another 23 minutes of this, and I'm watching all of it. This is awesome.
Parents should have the opportunity to opt their children out if they don't feel comfortable reading those books, but that children who are old enough and who are of age and can choose the books they want to read and may feel seen in a book that you might object to ought to have the opportunity to read that book. That shouldn't be your decision. It shouldn't be Moms for Liberty's decision. I think each parent can make the decision for their own children.
This is crazy,
and I don't
dude.
think
It's
that
disgusting.
woman from Moms for Liberty or organization should make that decision for other people's children. People ought to make decisions for their own children. And by the way, one more thing I'll add.
Wow.
In the state of Florida, parents can opt their children out of reading books that they don't want to read.
All right, let me ask you.
She could have done that like any other parent.
Have you watched Brokeback Mountain?
No.
Okay. I mean,
and what is the point of that?
Well, because you said I don't want to watch the two male characters in Brokeback Mountain having sex.
Okay, so what does me watching Brokeback Mountain have to do with that book, whether or not it is pornographic?
No, nothing to do with the book.
That book,
nothing to do with the book.
book that people can have the opportunity to read if they so choose.
No, I'm not
I do not understand how an organization can make a decision. It is not about the movie.
This
it
is
is
gold.
about whether or not Moms for Liberty
I'm not talking about the book.
the organization who should make
Joy,
decisions for other
I'm not
people's
talking
children.
about the book,
Whether
as you know.
I've watched a movie or not makes absolutely no difference.
I'm
Have you
talking
seen the
about
movie?
you posting on your blog that you wouldn't watch Brokeback Mountain.
And he just caught her doing it. She's so dumb that she doesn't realize that he just caught her. That she just admitted that she wrote it, basically. There's no sense of acknowledgement that she just doesn't realize what she just did.
Because you don't want to see two male characters having sex. Does that make me homophobic? Probably. Most straight people cringe at the sight of two men kissing. Your words, not mine, Joy.
And your point is?
That maybe that...
I can't believe this. I'm going to have to post a whole clip on this. This is insane. Pierce is not... I mean, the guy's a god right now.
Makes you a bit of a hypocrite when you're taking the position of being
And a
an
liar.
ally for the LGBTQ community. And actually, the best way to handle it, I would argue, is just to say, you know what? Actually, I did write that at the time. They're not my views now. I've learned, I've evolved, I've moved on. Trying to pretend even now that you didn't write it is preposterous. And I think you know
The
that.
bottom line is what I've said, and I will say it again, is that I take full responsibility for everything that was on that site. I'm deeply apologetic for the things that were on that site that hurt people, and I take responsibility for it because it was my site. And that's the end of that. And my views, as you know, and as I've said on television, on air, are quite different from the views that you just read. And that's the end of that.
Shout out to Pierce. Masterful, sir. Well crafted, well done. 10 out of 10 on that. I mean, the setup from the line of questioning to the usage of clips to get it out of her, you knew it. And then what you did was you deviated away from it for just slightly, right? And then you brought it back, but because she's so dumb, she doesn't realize you brought it back and you caught her. And you caught her in the lie in real time.
Okay. Let's just end with this. Not everyone was upset when you were fired.
Pure cinema.
Plenty of those white conservative men that you like so much seem quite happy. Let's just take a look at this clip.
Joy Reid, probably the nastiest figure on MSNBC.
Yep.
The most left, the most vicious against conservatives and white people and men and all the rest. She has just been canned, fired, kicked to the side of the road. Her show is over. This saddens me a little bit because I did not yet have the opportunity to go on it. I am celebrating that there is no longer a market for her disgusting product. That's what I'm genuinely happy about.
I love Michael.
There has been a major shift. Her
Good
show
cigars, by the way. I have his cigars on my desk right here.
No longer have value. And that's not just because of Joy Reid's favorite villains.
I have a full humidifier full of his cigars. There's the proof right there. This thing is packed full of his cigars, and they are freaking good. A little bit pricey, but my wife's, it's a Christmas gift, but I've had a few. I'm actually almost out. For me, that's almost out. Really good cigars.
You know,
I like the Dawn. The Dusk is a little bit too bold for me. I think it will knock you off your feet if you're having it with an old fashioned.
Evil white man or the Christians or the conservatives. It's because no one watches her show.
Correct. It sucks.
So Joy, I've actually got Michael Knowles waiting in the wings.
Great.
Is there anything you'd like to say to him?
Okay, hit the like button. This is getting better. This is getting better, baby, by the minute. Shit. I'm so happy for Michael, and I'm happy for all of us for this pure joy cinema. This is Dark MAGA at its peak, baby.
No.
What did you make of his critique of your show?
Well, I mean, the reality is that obviously people watched the show, and obviously that's the reason that the show was on for 4.5, nearly 5 years. So if he didn't like the show, I guess, sorry you didn't enjoy it, but I really am not that interested in his views on it.
Nobody enjoyed
Okay, well,
it,
we've got
Joy.
Michael there. Michael, anything you want to say to Joy?
Yes, wonderful to be here, Joy. Very nice to meet you. And I guess I would agree with Joy's take. People watched the show in the past tense, and now there's no longer a market for that absolutely vile content.
Oh, God,
and I
this
think
is
that's
good.
good for the culture broadly. And now we can all chat on Pierce's show.
Joy?
The
Look at
reality
his
is,
face.
Michael, the
He's so happy.
content that you and Piers like to trade in
Bring in the
is
racism.
grievance. And the grievance that white Americans have,
there it is.
that they have to deal with
I'm not American.
diversity, that they have to deal
Joy,
with. You
this
just said
isn't
you
a
have a whole
grievance.
lot
I'm
of reasons
British.
you love
I'm
America.
celebrating.
And by the way, white grievance is very good for your bottom lines. It's very good for your bank accounts. And so having me here to be able to continue to traffic in that is your shtick. That is what you
first
do.
of all,
That is
Joy,
what you do, Piers.
I have to
And so
correct you.
it's great. And I'm sure you find it delightful and fun to say it. But the reality is, Piers, that is what you all traffic in.
I
It is
have
what
to correct
facts
you.
traffic
Well,
in.
I can't
first of
speak
all,
for
I'm not
Piers
a
here,
white
Joy.
American. I think as my accent may reveal.
Well, I know that you're European.
And I'm a tan
I'm
American.
British.
My only grievances are tan
And secondly, I don't
But
think
I'm not a
anyone,
grievance.
Michael, I will let you respond, but I don't think any host in the history of cable news has waged more grievance than Joy Reid. So the idea that you're now hectoring us about feeling aggrieved about things, you spent years being aggrieved about absolutely everything.
Excuse me, but your favorite president, the president who you completely support, is nothing but
My
grievance.
favorite
His
president was
entire
Abraham
campaign
Lincoln.
was grievance. His entire campaign was grievance. Well, your former boss on The
I'm not
Apprentice or
Donald
whatever.
Boy, she's gotten a double. She said American. The guy's freaking, he's English. Then she said his favorite president, but his favorite president is Abraham Lincoln. I mean, she is batting at a 0 right now.
You want to call him your friend. The bottom line is that Donald Trump's entire campaign was about grievance. It was about white America feeling they'd lost their country and they need to take it back. It was about white America feeling that diversity was a threat to their children being able to go to Harvard. Their
And you know
grievance
what,
that
Joy?
inclusion
In the
and
end,
diversity was some
in
sort-
the end-
and that is the reason
And in the end,
that you all
the
glom onto
She's
him and
filibustering now.
use him to further your own
Actually, in the end, most Americans, as you know, most Americans, having voted for him in 2016, and after Trump spent 4 years in the wilderness, and we watched the Democrats run the United States of America, people took a look at that in America, and then they voted for Trump second time round in bigger numbers, including a record number of Latinos, who last time I checked were not white. Anyway, Joy Reid, I'm going to leave it with you. Thank you for coming on Uncensored. Next time, I'm sure we can move on from the stuff we've talked about today and have a more current debate, perhaps, about other issues. But I appreciate you coming on and facing the music. And it's good to see you. Thank you very much.
I wanted Michael to slap the crap out of her. That's not fun.
Come on, I've got Michael and Nina Turner. Nina, you were, well, fair to say, looking quite aggrieved, ironically, about what you were hearing there. What would you like to say?
I don't know who this is, but should we just finish it? We got another 15 minutes. Should we finish this? Let's do it. We're having too much fun here. We can't stop. Come on.
Pierce, I mean, my God, the way you were coming at Joy, she handled it beautifully, though. I think her
Was I
certainly
unfair? I mean, did I say anything?
Yeah, Pierce, you were. And it was
in
also
what
unfair
way?
for me to be popping up on the screen like this at the last minute on this topic. So I just want your audience to know I didn't get any warning that I was just going to pop up here while you guys were talking that way. Yeah, just unfair. I mean, I feel like you were beating a dead horse, but Joy handled it. She handled
Is
it.
she a dead horse? Wow.
He was just reading her
said-
words back to her, wasn't he?
The
You
topic,
calling
the
Joy a
topic,
dead horse?
No, I am not.
Pierce is being such a smart ass right now.
I'm talking about the topic. You kept going back and forth on this over and over again. She said they did an investigation.
You
She
don't
took
believe it,
responsibility.
Nina. Come on. Nobody does. Nobody believes it. Of course she wrote that stuff in her blog.
I'm just
She didn't even
telling
really deny
you. I found it to be unfair. Okay,
Oh, come off it, Nina.
But let's talk about. Oh, come on. Let's talk about what you brought me on here to talk about.
All right, well, let's talk to Michael quickly first. So, Michael, I mean, it's quite illuminating, the conversation with Joy. I don't think it gets Joy. I never met her. She blocked me on Twitter ages ago, but I don't know what for. Probably for saying something complimentary about Trump, who she views as a Nazi. But that in itself is part of the problem with the Democrats now, is that the constant thing of the only way to tackle Trump is to try and persuade everyone he's a Nazi, he's a fascist.
It's not a winning issue.
It just doesn't play anymore.
Yep,
it's not
work.
how most Americans see Trump.
Tired of it.
And the Democrats
Certainly
just
not.
don't seem to have learned that lesson. They've got people like Obama and Clinton and Chris Cuomo and others who are trying to urge some common sense to come into this. I believe, I've written a book called Woke is Dead, coming out towards the end of the year,
check that
which
out.
I think is perfectly timed, because I really feel the world has just woken up and gone, we're done with this crap. We're just not having it anymore.
Certainly. I mean, I think in that last little segment there, it was total projection from Joy when she's talking about this anger, this grievance. You know, I think Franklin Pierce, I think you and I are two of the least aggrieved people in the entire media. Generally pretty chipper,
Completely
cheery people.
I love Michael. It's such a
obviously
smart
the
ass.
left has been pushing this grievance kind of politics for a long time. Trump, by the way, when he was asked if he was going to take revenge on his enemies, he said, no, success is going to be my revenge. We're going to move on. We're going to make America great again for all sorts of different people.
There you go.
And of course, he did bring on a lot of people, many more than just white people, to his coalition. Record number, 46% of Hispanics, 1 in 5 black men to come over and vote, 40% of women under the age of 30. So he built a very large coalition here. And this is what I think Obama is so worried about, because Obama was one of the big promoters of proto-wokeness. It was Barack Obama who lit up that White House in rainbow colors. It was Barack Obama who was attacking the police at Harvard over the Gates affair. It was Barack Obama who said the cool clock Ahmed kind of racial identity politics. And it spun out of control.
It's Barack Obama that called ISIS the JV squad, and they went on to massacre a bunch of people. Yeah, I'm right there with you, Michael.
So now you're seeing this run away with them. The Democrats got creamed in the 2024 elections, and he's saying, whoa, guys, bring it back. Don't seem so aggrieved. Don't seem so weak. You got to toughen up a little bit, guys. I just think it's a little bit too late. He's being hoisted with his own petard.
Yeah. All right, Nina. I mean, just to remind you what Obama said, it's going to require a little less navel gazing, a little less whining, and being in fetal positions.
Well, listen, this is probably one of the only things that Michael and I will agree on. I believe that President Obama is late to the party on this. I wish he had taken some of the advice that he's given. He should have spoken out in 2016, in 2020, and also in 2024. We should have had a robust primary, which we did not, we being Democrats. So I want your audience to know the Democrats did not have a robust primary, because we had denial among the leadership, not the faithful. And Pierce, there is a difference between the faithful of the Democratic Party, just everyday people who believe, versus the out-of-touch leaders. So
where were they? Where were all these faithful people? I mean, remember, Joe Biden had more votes than any sitting president in American history, folks. He's the most popular president in American history. Over 80 million people voted for Joey. Where were they all? Where are all these faithful people? Remember, it's not the leadership. No, it's where's all the faithful people at?
President Obama's premise is correct. He is late to the party on this, and I feel as though he has very little credibility on it unless he calls out what happened in 2016, 2020, and 2024. Now, the point about the Hitler thing and Democrats.
Yeah.
Now, J.D. Vance,
I'm
going to jump in here and do this dance now. J.D. Vance said that
Yes,
about
he did.
President
And he was wrong
Trump
too.
as well. And then he turns around, now that he was made the vice president, now all of a sudden people want to pretend like he didn't say it. Now, Pierce and Michael, I have been one of the very few disgruntled Democrats, because I don't roll with these neoliberals, and that's why they don't like me. I get it from the right, and I get it from the neoliberals.
I kind of like her a little bit.
I am one of the very
kind of like her a little
few
bit right now.
Democrat adjacent leaders to say comparing President Donald J. Trump to Adolf Hitler
is insane.
Out of line.
Yeah, there you go.
Secondly, I said to the Democratic Party, if that is the only way that you can try to win, instead of trying to win on your ideas, go sit down somewhere. Because people are sick and tired of hearing it. I want to hear, and the voters and the people that I still talk to, they want to hear about what you're going to do for them.
There you go.
And not necessarily always hearing about what the other candidate is not doing. The Democrats had an opportunity in the first 2 years of President Biden's presidency to push agendas and to be bold and to be brave and to stand on it. And they refuse to do it. So now, although I don't like what President Trump is doing, I don't like 99.9% of what he is doing. What I do applaud is the fact that he knows how to use power. And I hope that the Democratic Party gets a clue and stop making excuses. So Pierce and Michael, I and others who abhorred comparing this man to Adolf Hitler, that ought to be acknowledged, because I think that was too far. J.D. Vance went too far. You can be in disagreement with the president, but don't do that.
What does she disagree with, though, is the question. Like, what does she disagree? She's the 99.9%. I mean, you're disagreeing with basically everything. You disagree with the tax cuts? That's insane. That's the face she should be giving to me when I said, you disagree with the tax cuts? Really? Securing the border? Securing it? Really? Like, what?
Historically, it's ahistoric.
Increasing, making the economy work so that you have more money in your pocket? Like, what?
We all agree.
For people to do that.
We've reached a great point in this panel where everybody is in total agreement.
Well, that might be the only point we're going to agree on.
Well, let's turn to something which is very interesting, because it's actually splitting the Republicans.
I like her, though, still.
This whole thing,
I like her.
Michael, about the
She's a little
Epstein
feisty. I like her, though. She seems honest.
Where it looked like we were all being taken down the hill by the Trump administration. A lot of people, Lena Haber came on my show, couldn't have been clearer.
I'll tell you what, she grows out her hair a little bit here and gets, a little bit of different glasses. She looked pretty good. She's looking pretty good.
There were all these names, all this scandal stuff. It was all going to come out, and just had to be patient, etc. Pam Bondi issuing binders to people and so on. And then, bang, the shutters came down. Elon Musk suddenly did his bombshell post as he fell out with Trump, saying Trump's in the Epstein files. That's the biggest bombshell. And then the next thing, the whole thing gets shut down. Trump, it's been quite interesting how he's trying to navigate this, because the MAGA world is not happy about the way this has been closed down. But Donald Trump has now gone on the attack against what he calls stupid Republicans. Let's take a look.
It's a hoax. It's started by Democrats. It's been run by the Democrats for 4 years. You had Christopher Wray and these characters and Comey before him. And it's a bad group. It started, actually, look at the Steele dossier. That turned out to be a total hoax. The 51 agents, the intelligence, so-called intelligence agents, it was a hoax. It's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats. And some stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net. And so they try and do the Democrats' work.
I mean, Michael, strong words there. I mean, Trump going on the attack, talking about stupid Republicans. My past supporters have bought into this bullshit hook, line, and sinker. Is this a sensible strategy, do you think?
Well, I think Trump is in a terrible position. And I said from the beginning, I never expected us to get the Epstein files, because one of two things could be true. Either Epstein is what the government is maintaining, namely just a rich pervert who happened to pal around with all the richest, most famous people in the world, and those two facts have nothing to do with each other. There's nothing to see here. Move along. Either that story is true, or this guy really did have compromise on people. There might have been some blackmail. There might have been some association with intelligence services, in which case you also were never going to get any more to that story. So I never really had any illusions that we were going to get a radical transparency. And frankly, I'd even go further. The government could have reasonable and even virtuous explanations not to release everything because of potential defamation, because of threats to the world order. So I grant all of that. I am a plan truster.
I've been in so many debates this week with a good group of people about these Epstein files, you guys. I've heard almost every argument there is from the progressive left. I think now we're just when we get people in, it seems like it's just repeating itself at this point. I think Michael he's not wrong here. I mean, everybody's throwing out theories of what it could be, why or why not. But the defamation, right? You release some sort of list, right? I don't think there's a list where it's like, oh, black book, boom, 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 like Kash Patel was saying originally. There's probably people out there that are connected to him. The problem is you start releasing those names. People in this country tend to say somebody's guilty before they're innocent rather than innocent until proven guilty. So just because they're already doing it with Trump. I mean, it's a prime example, right? They're already saying Trump is a pedo. They're already saying Trump is doing stuff with little girls with Epstein without even any evidence. Can you imagine just releasing a bunch of names and seeing what these freaking people are going to do in the town square just because somebody's name was associated with Epstein? I think it's crazy. I was in a debate last night. I'm not kidding. I asked the guy finally, because he was like, well, what do you guys need to see to not vote for Donald Trump regarding the Epstein stuff? But I flipped it on him and said, no, like, what do you need to see for you to convict Donald Trump to say that he's guilty of doing these heinous things? And then he just went on he goes, oh, well, I would need to see a log. I'm like, you're going to convict a dude or say a guy is a pedo with little children because you saw his name in a guest book? That is insane. That's how these people think, though, man. That's insanity, dude. Even if Joe Biden was on some sort of list and blog, I would need to see verifiable proof before I'm going to go and say some dude's a pedo, dude. That's fucking wild. You need some serious evidence. And I went through a whole list of things that need to be brought into court to say that somebody was doing some heinous crimes with children. You can't just be like, oh, well, the dude was at the island, so he must have done something. You need to bring some serious evidence. That's a big allegation, man. Gentlemen, put yourself in that shoe. Hey, you signed a guest book, dude. Fuck.
I appreciate Trump's position, but the government needs to have some better messaging here. The government needs to explain to people why these sorts of...
Isn't that what we were saying during the White House press briefing in the previous hour? Isn't that exactly what I said? The messaging needs to be way better.
This sort of information might not come out. What the people want, I think, is not primarily radical transparency. What we want is justice. Horrific crimes occurred on this island and on the properties. We want the perpetrators to be held to justice. So the reason why now I think Trump is being reactive is he sees guys like Thomas Massie, who's a political enemy of his in the Republican Party, teaming up with Democrats to try to push this issue. So I think he's just trying to punch back. But Trump gave himself a little wiggle room. If you caught it, right outside of Marine One, there was a clip. He was going off about how he wants people to stop talking about Epstein, but he wants all credible information to come out. I thought that was a way that maybe he's leaving himself room to pivot.
Yeah, I mean, in this extraordinary situation, if you're the Democrats, you can just sit back and watch this unravel because it's the conservative right ripping itself to pieces.
Well, I don't want to play games with this, so Michael and I might have a little bit more agreement here. You cannot dismiss the concerns of the people, and that is exactly what they want. They want justice. President Trump is being a hypocrite in this case. It was President Trump who said that he would release, interview after interview, when he was asked as the candidate for a second time, he said he would release the Epstein files. Now, all of a sudden, there's nothing to see here. So on one hand, the Republican Party purports to care about young girls and women and all the allegations, right? Every allegation might not necessarily be true, but why don't you release the files, or at least, to Michael's point, give the American people a better explanation other than to say, number one, nothing to see here. Number two, it's a Democratic hoax, which it is not. And number three, President Trump is jumping on his own supporters. Now, all of a sudden, they're weak. They're no good. He doesn't need them anymore just because he doesn't want to do what he said he was going to do. He's the one that made this promise. So much for draining the swamp in D.C. Because the president on this issue, he's swimming all up in it. He backstroking in this swamp.
I mean, it is interesting. I mean, as a journalist,
I think there is some truth to what she said. There is some truth, but I think she got a little bit far with like, oh, he's swimming in it. It's a little bit silly. I mean, she's doing all right. She knows what she's doing, right? That's what that look is, and Michael knows what she's doing. Everybody knows the political games and the silliness.
I look at this and I think, how can you only have one person in prison right now connected to the Epstein scandal?
Exactly.
Right? When we know he trafficked so many young underage girls, we know he was an appalling pedophile. How is it that the only person in prison is a woman, Ghislaine Maxwell,
That's right.
who was his madame and fixer and absolutely deserves her punishment, but no men, Michael, at all? I mean, Epstein cheated justice, or maybe someone cheated it for him. You know, there's a lot of speculation raging about it. We don't know for sure. But I just find this fact that we know how widespread this crime scenario was, and yet there's no
Jason,
man
that's what Glenn Beck thinks. That was Glenn Beck's show today.
The new joke about it. I guess, you laugh or cry. And the joke is that Ghislaine Maxwell is the only person ever put in prison for trafficking girls to no one.
Right.
So obviously there are people, it's not that we need some kind of formal sheet of paper, 1, 2, 3, 4 with a client list. We know that Jeffrey Epstein had associates. But I totally sympathize with Trump here. You got to remember, this issue long predates President Trump's political career. Trump did know Epstein, like apparently every rich, famous person did in the world, but he kicked him out of his Mar-a-Lago club. I've talked to highly credible sources who say Trump is not in any way seriously implicated in these files, but lots of other people are. And so I think Trump's frustration here is, look, I'm doing great on the border. I'm doing really quite well, and maybe great on foreign affairs. Everyone told me the economy was going to collapse. The economy's doing great. I've got all of these major wins, and you're forcing me to talk about some political issue that might even involve international intelligence that predates my presidency by 10 years. And I think he's frustrated. I get that frustration, but I don't think this issue is just going to go away. There's a reason why it's stuck around now for over a decade.
Yeah, I mean,
even though he's frustrated, he can be frustrated, but he's president of the United States of America, so he has an obligation. He just can't get out of this. If the president was President Biden or President Obama or President Bush, let's name some others, none of them should be off the hook for this. Even though it predates him, he is the one who said that he would release the file. But his agent.
Well, you kind of are letting Obama and Joe Biden, like these people, off the hook on a lot of this stuff, to be fair. I mean, you really are, because you're not bringing them into the mix. It's always about Trump. I only see Trump's name being brought up. I don't ever see Bill Clinton's name being brought up very often amongst the left, or Joe Biden, or any of these people. I only keep hearing Trump's name. And by the way, where am I getting that from? I'm not just getting that from watching people's podcasts, but I'm also getting that from doing all these TikTok lives and probably spending 2 to 3 hours a night. That's why I'm so tired, is trying to hear what the left is saying regarding all this stuff. And I don't ever hear anybody on the left bringing up their people. It's always, well, Trump's this, Trump's a pedo, Trump's on the list, Trump's this. Like, you don't know shit.
She said that she had on her desk the files. Now all of a sudden you don't have the files. Which is it? President Donald J. Trump is in a corner on this, and the only way, he doesn't really know how to get out of it other than to attack people. So now it's a hoax. Now he's attacking his own voters. So we can't have a double standard here, gentlemen.
She didn't say she didn't have the file. She said she didn't have a list. The question was surrounding the list, and she said she had it on her desk, and then she said that she's referring to the files were on her desk. There wasn't actually a list on her desk, but she kind of is conflating the two right there. I don't think that was very genuine, but that's what happens in these conversations. I think we'll end it there. There's only about a minute and a half left, so they're probably going to wrap it up. Pierce is probably going to talk about 30 seconds anyways. But that's pretty much what we have here today for Dark MAGA. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I had a freaking blast. I had a lot of fun on this one, especially watching Joy Reid just being picked apart by Pierce, and he did it effortlessly. He did it very polite, well-mannered, didn't lose his touch. He thought it was hilarious just as much as we did. And so thank you. I appreciate you guys willing to hang out with me on this one. Thank you to Danielle for donating the $20. Again, shout out to everybody that's a member here in the chat. I see the badges next to your guys' names. By the way, even if you don't have a badge, there's a lot of people that donate through my website, baldbrad.com. So I want to make sure you guys are aware that that is there for you as well. Might as well plug it. Baldbrad.com is what the website looks like. We do have recent blogs up if you want to check those out regarding Ma'am Donnie. There's a lot of goodies in there for you as well. We do have a store, and we also have a book as well that I want to make sure that you guys are aware of if you want to buy any merchandise to help support the channel out. Miguel's in here, says it'll get released. I trust our president's judgment. Thank you for the stream. Appreciate you, Miguel. Thanks, man, for watching. Always support like a hero. You got to get back streaming yourself, my friend. But other than that, we'll end it here. We'll be back here tomorrow morning for our Friday show, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, for another episode of the Bald Brad Show. Lastly, you guys, I want to make sure that this is acknowledged by everybody here. You know, a lot of people go through stuff, especially in our community. You know, there's a lot of people that are going through health issues right now that you maybe not be aware of, that I'm aware of. You know, some people have upcoming surgeries. Some people currently are I don't want to say bedridden, but just have issues with their body. You know what I mean? Their body's kind of failing them over time. You know, some people, you know, went to the emergency room this evening. If you're somebody that is of faith and that it doesn't matter what faith you're in, I think it's important to make sure that you're praying for those people and their health, right? I really think that's something that I don't really speak much about, and I should. That's a flaw in my part. But you know, for our community and everybody else, you know, I say pray for this country, pray for Donald Trump, pray for world peace, those things. I think tonight, you know, make sure before you go to bed, even if you're just there, you know, say a little prayer for those in our community that can receive a little bit of health, because really the power of prayer is effective, whether you're somebody of faith or not. I think open up your heart to that tonight, and pray for everybody in our community and just Americans in general, of course, like all that stuff is there. But pray for those that are Bald Brad Show viewers that could use it. So with that being said, I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Pray for those in our community. Pray for America. Pray for the world. Pray for Donald Trump. Pray for everybody. With that being said, I'll see you tomorrow morning, Patriots. Take care.